They don't understand. We are the Village Green Preservation Society. God save Donald Duck, vaudeville and variety. It's Monday, not Sunday. But yeah, I should have done a Sunday stream, but I was just tired and I've been working all week, so who cares? What can you do? Hello, Michelle. Hello, Ikar. Hello, everyone who's here. Hello, Minnie Finney. Hello, Alex. I hope you're all doing well. It's too hot in here for some reason. I need to turn this down. Hold on. Hold on. Why do I have messages on Discord? I know they're from Isaac. Hello, everyone. Right, okay. I also finally watered my plants again today. I haven't watered them in a couple of, like 2 weeks, so... Good morning from Texas. Yeah, I've also got a bit of an issue, which is I fucked up. I spilled some water the other day, and I fucked up the camera, and I hope it all looks okay. Is it a little dirty? Maybe. Let's give it a glasses clean. I hope that looks okay. Sorry, I'll be... Happy MLK Day. Is it MLK Day today? Obviously not really a large holiday in the UK. Distracted worked on a video No problem. Good evening from Johannesburg, South Africa. Good evening from the UK. Free the plants from Chris. I don't think plants need as much water in winter, right? Like, you don't need to... None of my plants require huge amounts of water. It's more just the spider plant over there, which I've had for the shortest amount of time. And it just doesn't look very good. Like, you can see how wilted it is in comparison to the rest of them. I don't know if the spider plant is less hardy or something. It just doesn't seem to be doing as well. It's Milk Day. Yeah, I probably should talk about Milk Mania, but... someone is now trying to push MLK as a Zionist. MLK was a little bit Zionist, no? Oh, Jacobin has a long essay about him, so perhaps he's not. I don't know. Might need a bigger pot. Maybe it's that. I don't know. But I'm sure that you are. I'm sure that you guys are right about it being. I'm right that they don't need as much water in winter, correct? The one in the corner seems to be doing okay. Looks pretty hardy. It also didn't need water for some reason, which is kind of surprising. It's too near the radiator in my opinion though, but we move. But I make overtime pay, so I guess it's fine. Nice. You know, they've basically eliminated that for a lot of jobs in the UK. At Tesco, when I used to work there when I was 16, they would pay you like time and a half if you worked on a Sunday, and now you get 1.25 times if you've been there a certain amount of time, which sucks. Mine outgrew so fast. It doesn't seem to have outgrown. It just seems to have really wilted. Hello, Remelia. Yeah, I'm doing fine today. No complaints, really. I had a nice weekend. It feels like everything's been a bit overwhelming and intense, you know, just with news and covering it and all of those things. So, yeah. On the topic of milk, did you ever listen to Real Politic podcast and the documenting of Mike? No, I haven't heard about Mike that. Is that a real MP's name? Yeah, it is a real MP's name. Oh, Jesus Christ. What did he do? He seems odd. Yeah, it used to be time and a half for a Sunday at certain places. Also, I'm just going to post on Twitter that we're live. Live on YouTube. Covering... What are we covering? Greenland. Starmer's pathetic showing. Ice... and maybe some Syria stuff. Okay. Now I need to record a... Yeah, to be honest, some of you are saying it. They are probably going to just replace MLK Day and be like, today is the day where we all drank raw milk and Clavicular went to the club with Sneeko. That's the kind of stuff that America will become. Just Clavicular Club listening to Kanye song, the one that's like, they don't understand the things I say on, and you know how the rest goes. I'm not even going to say it. I feel like there's no sanitized way to say that on stream. It's quite a lot of expletives. Hello everyone, I am live on YouTube. I am going to be covering today all of the Greenland stuff, Keir Starmer's capitulation over it. I'll be covering some stuff about ICE, potentially the SDF and Syria and more. So if you want to come in, link is here. If you're watching this on Instagram and on TikTok, it's in my damn bio. Oh, and sorry for making no TikToks or Instagrams. I promise I will again one day. Oh, also, I saw 28 Days Later this weekend, and it's pretty good. It's actually really, really quite good. And I watched The Clockwork Orange, which I didn't enjoy, and then a Japanese film called Kwai-Don, which I thought was okay. Kwai-Den, the one that's like 4 different stories. It was interesting, but yeah. Reagan is the one who first recognized MLK Day. Was he? Interesting. I never knew that. I never knew that. What? I never knew that. I never knew that that's what Reagan was up to. Oh, also, I need to probably put the stream on. No, it's monetized. Okay, cool. Kwai-Don is so good. I liked it. I thought it was probably the weakest Japanese film. The weakest Japanese film I've seen, but I have seen some other bangers. I just didn't love it that much. Did you watch Rashomon? Yeah, I've seen Rashomon, and I thought Rashomon was better. Yeah, I was pretty, to be honest, Terra, I was pretty shocked by the Bone Temple and how good it actually was. I did not think that it was actually going to be anywhere near as good as it was. Mike Gapes, MP, said Corbyn caused his heart attack. Big Blairite. He made a speech in Parliament about how Baileys used Irish and Northern Irish milk, and that's why Brexit was bad. God, my mother's Christmases will be ruined. The first being his assassination, and the second, the watering down of his anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist rhetoric to a more palatable liberal one for white Americans, Ripbro. Yeah, I don't know much about MLK. I ain't American. I don't know much about anything that's ever happened in America. No, I'm joking. I should know more. QSD. What is... What do you mean there? Why are you asking if I support that? I don't know what that is. Maybe I will watch. When I was a kid and I was like really young, my dad read all of the Lord of the Rings films to me, books to me, and I watched all the films when I was really young, and I really enjoyed them, but I haven't seen them in a long time. My YouTube now. Oh, also, if any of you don't follow me on Instagram and any...
It is utterly ridiculous.
Sorry, excuse me. TikTok just crashed. Okay, it's no longer. It's fine. If any of you don't follow me on Instagram, I'm doing a speech in... I'm doing a speech in Oxford, or like some kind of panel event for some charity thing with some guy I met at an event who was very nice and a brilliant young... an amazing young activist guy. Does loads of charity stuff. Fair play to him. Good man. Maybe people like in the US should participate in parliamentary elections if the guy is going to be such a House officially gone. Yeah, I mean, if you just elected Kamala, everything would be good and fine, I guess. There's like 115 people in here and 15 likes. Do the thing, people. Yes, thank you for the 5,500 Chilean pesos, and good to see you as always, Thomas. I also guess, when was MLK? When was the first ML day? Oh my god. Wait.
It is utterly ridiculous.
You kind of just put me onto something. So the first MLK Day was 1986. Part of this probably had to do with Angola and South Africa, right? Part of this had to do with specifically with the fact that they had all these problems where there were emerging amounts of like black congressmen and stuff, and like black people higher up in politics and things to that effect. And black people in politics, and also generally how unappealing people really found those whole things, like being associated with those repugnant movements. Weak compared to Kurosawa. I have preferred... Wait, let me go on Letterboxd and see which Japanese films I've watched. I also watched A Clockwork Orange, and I thought it was pretty good, but I didn't really appreciate the hype as much as I kind of thought I would. Diary, right, let's go into my diary. So I think Sanjuro is my favourite Japanese film I've seen so far. I did also enjoy Rashomon a lot. I kind of preferred Rashomon to Kwaidan. I just thought the first story in Kwaidan was a bit boring, but it was so beautiful, especially the second one. But I think weak probably compared to Kurosawa. And also, by the way, on the Bone Temple, yeah, I guess a lot of Americans probably don't fully know who he's meant to be inspired by, and it's interesting that they didn't really
ridiculous.
touch on that. However, one of the interesting things was, and I don't know if I've seen anyone pick this up, I don't know if anyone's picked this up, a really interesting thing is... that they called, when they were like doing horrible things, they called it charity. And I mean, you know, a lot of what Jimmy Savile did to whitewash his image was charity. And so I suppose there's some kind of link there that won't be picked up by most. I really want to watch the Human Condition trilogy. I didn't enjoy The Godfather Part 1 that much, but maybe because of the shit audio. No Nelson Mandela Thomas Sankara Day. Yeah, of course. Bro, there ain't gonna be a Thomas Sankara Day for as long as the American government exists. I have seen Taste the Cherry. I prefer Close Up. I just thought generally Close Up was the better film. I thought Close Up was really, really... I don't know. I thought Close Up was like a fantastic film. I as I said the other week, I also really enjoyed... I was going to say Nosferatu. I didn't mind that. I really enjoyed Malcolm X, In the Mood for Love, Sanjuro. And then I saw Pillion, which was really good. I've been on a bit of a spree the last few days. I've watched 3 films in the last 3 days, and we're going to watch another one tonight. Okay, fine. I'll put on this Mike Gapes video. It's a horrible name, and I feel like I'm searching something inappropriate. So I damn you for telling me to search that.
And you have the. And you have the milk that is taken from cows in the south and taken from cows in the north, put together in the same...
Oh, it's got fucking music on it. Hold on. Milk.
Aping.
I can't find a Mike Gape's milk thing that... Oh, I'm going to have to assume that this is okay.
In the north, put together in the same factory, and then it is mixed together with whiskey, and it comes out as milk.
Yeah, Pillion's a new film about like a sub-dom relationship by amongst two gay men.
It is utterly ridiculous.
No, I haven't heard about the Rainbow Coalition. No, that's probably something I would like to look into, though. Thanks again for the donation, Thomas. The Rainbow Coalition. It sounds really interesting. Hopefully I will get a chance to look into that at some point. Obviously I've got more Iran research to do. Mike Gapes, Corbyn. Let's see what he had to say about Corbyn. YouTube. I wasn't familiar that much with milk. That would have been a good day to be streaming.
Gapes.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister referred to the actions of previous governments. Can I remind her, and also the Right Honourable Member for Islington North, that it was a Labour government with Robin Cook as Foreign Secretary which carried out airstrikes in Iraq under Operation Desert Fox in 1998 without a UN resolution. That it was a Labour government that restored President Kaba in Sierra Leone without a UN resolution. That it was a Labour government that stopped the ethnic cleansing in Kosovo without a UN resolution. And that there is a long-standing and noble tradition on these benches supporting humanitarian intervention and the responsibility to protect...
Brilliant. I was old enough, but I just didn't care about politics at this point. I would have just been like, oh... Politics is either oh god that politics is boring and I just think everyone's the same. Oh, I did want to see the Acorn one. Hold on.
Oh, Mike, it's all gone so wrong, hasn't it? Are you sorry you left your party now?
No, definitely not. I'm absolutely determined that Jeremy Corbyn cannot be Prime Minister, and as far as I'm concerned, it's vital that all moderate centre-left people in this country do whatever they can to give the British people an electable alternative to Corbyn Labour.
Mike, you've lost your party. You're going to lose your seat at the next election. You knew you would, which is why you didn't go for a by-election, which is why none of you Tiggers went for a by-election. Now half of the party that you set up have left you. It's all over.
No, politics is a long haul. I remember when Paddy Ashdown was the leader of the Liberal Democrats and they were polling at 2%. And the fact is, polls come up and go down. We always knew, those of us who had political experience, that this could be a long haul. British politics needs a change, and those of us who are determined to plant the seed that grows from an acorn into a big tree know it takes a long time. But we're up for it, and we're going to continue this fight.
He's a very strange-looking man, but I guess some of you probably assume that this is what every single British person looks like. His portrait is grotesque. This is a very, very, very old portrait. Not very nice either. I don't know. Here. I'm just zooming in on his chin. Let's get him more center. Wow. Fair play. Amazing stuff was happening in UK politics. Wish I was streaming then. Okay. Right. I'm gonna have to mute every video because they have shitty music on. But there was kind of like a neo-Nazi meetup this weekend. And I mean, it's quite impressive because there was only one white guy there, which was Clavicular, and actually there was one other guy, but no one knows who he is. And so here's Clavicular meeting Andrew Tate, Nikki Fuentes, some kind of cameraman, Myron Gaines, a real sort of meeting, and this guy looks crazy. He is short as hell. And then there's some women made to sit outside. I think that's Justin Waller there and Tristan Tate. Yeah, it was a very, very, very bizarre little meetup. And they were all singing the Kanye West song, whose name I dare not even mention. It was a real odd mixture of people.
Is young.
There were some great clips of them.
Is young men like this getting good role models and good influences, telling them good advice about the world. It warms my soul and my heart to see.
It's kind of crazy. This is like a meeting of some of the worst people imaginable. Sex traffickers who are also alleged child sex offenders. A guy who's addicted to methamphetamine has made himself infertile with steroids.
Like, I see you mob.
Myron Gaines, sort of a black neo-Nazi.
And these dudes and these girls and like
Sneeko, whose views Sneeko's views are insane. No, it's not the Paris song. It's the Paris song, I would just say, in Paris. I won't be saying the full name, obviously. It's a song that is about their love for a certain German, Kanye's love for a certain German dictator, and how all of his friends are fans of that German dictator, a member of his party.
Acquiring aesthetics, disregard females. I love it. I'm just like, yes, let's go.
Disregard females.
I love it. I'm just like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, I love my meetup where we discuss disregarding females. That's always an important thing to be getting up to.
Nick,
There was an incredible clip to come out of this though.
yo, Nick, I'm gonna bring some girls over for you.
There's Nick Fuentes being told by Clavicular he's gonna bring some girls over, and Clavicular says, and Nick Fuentes says, please don't do that. And I mean, Nick Fuentes probably is gay, and also he's an incel, so no surprise that he doesn't want women there. There was also some very, very, very poignant political analysis going on.
And I went viral for basically saying...
Especially as an American candidate.
He is so obviously on.
I said I was going to vote for Gavin.
By the way, this guy clearly has some form of substance abuse problem alongside whatever he's doing for looks maxing, because this guy is clearly bagged off his face. You can tell by the way he's talking and the way he looks if you ever met people who partake in that kind of stuff. He is bagged to all hell.
He loves JD Vance.
Just the way he's talking, you can tell. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, you can tell.
You know what I mean? I called JD Vance a fat subhuman.
I heard that, and I would advise you that you're wrong. However, you're no. You're an American, and I'm an American, so I don't tell other Americans who to vote for. I never have. You vote for whoever you like. But if Gavin Newsom's running against JD Vance, I will be voting for JD Vance, and that's my vote, and you can do what you want with yours. But I would disagree with you, but if you're smart, you could disagree with people and not turn it into some big fucking heated argument that ends in a fist fight, you know?
Yeah, he's not actually, bro. That is not microdosing. He's on a night out. He's doing bag.
Yeah.
And I can do that, and you can do that, I hope. So you vote for whoever you like, but I'm voting JD Vance. So I'm voting.
I mean, I appreciated what Taylor Loren said in the No Politic Here podcast, which I need you guys to go and look at. Taylor kind of spoke about how, well, basically, it's a bit sad. This kid is like 19, 20. He got kicked out of school. Obviously, I don't have sympathy for a lot of the stuff he does on the internet, but I feel a lot of the men around him here are all older. I mean, Nick Fuentes is like 27, which is 2 years older than me, which is crazy. Feels like he's been ever present on the internet. And then also, the Tates are in like their late 30s and 40s. This Justin Waller guy who no one knows who he is. No one knows this guy. He's got 1 million followers on Instagram as well somehow.
For America, and that's probably going to be JD. Damn right.
You can just see it in his eyes. Bag is British slang for a certain thing that's popular.
It is utterly ridiculous.
In South America. I mean, it's also incredibly popular in Europe, but you can probably make the connotation from that. he's not indulging in methamphetamine. It's definitely bag. Look, you can tell by his eyes and the way he's talking. If you want to know why Aidan Ross isn't there, the reason is awkward. Wait, why is Aidan Ross not there? Very unfortunately, the Incel Forum was created by a neurodivergent woman who was struggling with relationships, which is so relatable, unfortunately turned into a nightmare. Was it actually? Is that actually true that it was created by a woman? The Ziploc kind, yes.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, he's been snowboarding. It's very obvious. Just look at his eyes and the way he's talking, and there's videos of him doing it online. That's what's wrong with him. That's why he talks like this. And it's like, no matter how rich you get, it's an incredibly horrifying and destructive thing to be partaking in regularly. And at the age of 20, like hanging around with people telling you that good content is you going to a nightclub and putting on an offensive song that goes, like an offensive song by Kanye. Like, that's funny for, like, 15, 14-year-old boys who like shock jock humor. But these people are, like, 40. They are 40 years old. I mean, I can't play it on stream because, probably copyrighted, but more importantly, it is an incredibly offensive song. Oh, I mean, yeah, you're probably right. They wouldn't actually like... But doesn't Aidan Ross like Kanye? And Aidan Ross doesn't really mind anti-Semitism all that much when it comes from, like, people who, I don't know, are racist too. I've seen footage of the red hair before. He came off as extremely insecure. Who is he? Justin Waller. I mean, I know his name. He's an internet personality and businessman. He does come across as pretty insecure. And for someone with 1 million followers, the amount of likes he gets on just videos is terrible.
First time ever, I'm going to host an in-person 3-day event in Miami, Florida, November 21st to the 23rd. 3 days.
Fuck, I missed it. He also posted this on my birthday, which is the 15th of October, for anyone wondering.
There's this myth that if you grew up broke in a small town, nobody around you doing anything big, then you...
There's this myth that if you grew up in a small town, ain't no one around you doing anything big. Ugh. Yeah. Also crazy that none of these people have Donald Trump's ear, but through his son, Baron Trump, the very strange sort of troll creature boy, through this very strange troll creature boy who likes who likes the Tates, they are in somewhat close proximity to him. Christmas Adventurers Club are never going away. The cult rituals these sad men have are mind-boggling from the outgroup's perspective. Well, another thing with all of that is another thing with the Christmas Adventurers Club from what was that, One Battle After Another, is there are like lots of weird I mean, the Proud Boys have all of those weird rituals to get involved with all of that stuff. Proud Boys to get involved with all of that stuff. They're always doing weird stuff, and like the people who are some of the people trying to set the immigration stuff are people who hold genuine beliefs like that. But you're right, it is kind of funny how all of these people here, like literally 2 people here are white. Clavicular, who's 20 years old and is not doing very well for himself. He clearly has some kind of addiction to a lot of different substances. You then have Justin Waller, who is like 40 years old and is this guy who's posting images like this.
You know, for all the people that are worried about Trump, think that he's too much, he's too brash, consider this. You're sending him into a dog fight. It is a mess.
Oh, it's a hyena fight.
Yeah. So you had better hire a dog to do the job.
Yeah,
you know?
true. Yeah.
Or you think he's brash, you think he's arrogant. Well, one thing I'll tell you is this. You have to be brash and arrogant to get things done. And I argue that if he is arrogant, have you considered that he just might be too arrogant for us to fail on his watch. That I trust.
Oh, I'll back that up.
That I trust.
Yeah.
And for that reason,
yeah.
you have to remember, just like the guy said, you are hiring this man to do a job.
Yeah.
If you're going to hire a fighter to go in there and bleed, God, better hire a fighter.
Exactly.
And that's why.
Wow. This is, so he's one of the two white men there. But yeah, there's real diversity amongst Nazis. Andrew Tate is 40, gets beat up on TV and arrested abroad. Clavicular is so insecure he is made infertile by looksmaxing. Fuentes is a self-hating gay man preaching about marriage and children. Myron is a chronically single 35-year-old with a dating podcast. I swear Myron Gaines has kids. I don't even know. I don't know enough about Myron Gaines. Let's have a look. Myron Gaines is posting videos about how, oh God. Why the Venezuela invasion proved that the US is cooked. Myron doing anti-imperialism now. Myron dropped the brutal truth about reaction YouTubers. Myron goes off on Kai Cenat's reading. Skills and modern society's decline. Myron calls out Valkyrie and exposes the simp culture behind her rise. Myron dismantled Corey Holcomb for chimping out on Anton Daniels. Myron reveals why modern feminism and traditional courtship cannot exist. Ethan Klein and Bimbo got wrecked for criticizing Fresh and Fit. Okay, it seems like he's up to a lot of normal stuff. Has enough of Latinos and even women too. Really, I mean, women using 4chan and women being bad people on the internet is not something that surprises me like all that much. You know, I think that like it's kind of foolish to assume on the basis like it was kind of when we had that Ireland video up and some people were shocked that there were like Irish people who were incredibly pro-Israel. It's like, yeah, unfortunately everywhere there are people who don't have good views about things. Kai Senate. Yeah, Kai for Senate. Now he's read a book. But the discourse around this was pretty insane. Like, this event really capturing the zeitgeist on Twitter, on X, the Everything app, is in many ways unsurprising. Like, Clavicular's really hot and popular right now because of the extremity of what he's up to. I mean, a lot of these people are kind of dead. Andrew Tate is past his heyday. Like 100%. Him getting beaten up by Chase Damore is certainly not good for his whole vision of being, you know, some great, like, amazing fighter. Nick Fuentes is on the rise, but also it's really hard to gauge how popular Nick Fuentes is because I think Twitter is inflated for people who are like Nazis, far right, and just disgusting individuals. I think Kick viewer numbers are totally fake. But yeah, and it's certainly an interesting meetup. The Ethan Klein in that video. Yeah, he should be arrested for making Ethan Klein look good. But once again, I've spoken about this before. The only reason people ever thought Ethan Klein was a left-winger was, one, because he had a podcast with Hassan, and two, because he spent his time arguing with people who are, like, just objectively really, really bad individuals. Like, okay, like Myron Gaines. Like, anyone looks like a leftist arguing with Myron Gaines. Myron Gaines is an open, avowed anti-Semite, like, racist, bigot, who is not someone who's, like, hard to make look like a fool, because he doesn't really give a shit. It's all like a grift of, I'm gonna say the outrageous stuff about women that you're not gonna hear anywhere else. I used to know a bunch of /TTT people, and it's quite tragic how they often live in the countries that have good trans rights. It's a really awful trap. It's so sad to witness. What is /TTT? TTT. 4chan really hates trans people. I mean, Pearly Things is someone who fell off from that era as well. Like, I do remember it being funny when they debated Andrew Tate, but also dated Andrew Tate, the H3 podcast, The Leftovers dates Andrew Tate. What I will say is that, like, Andrew Tate was inflated by how media is now and how, like, brash and outrageous he was. But ultimately, he just built off the legacy of that Ty Lopez guy here in my garage. Like, you know, he was kind of the first guy that began this kind of stuff of being like some internet figure who felt like they were so massive because everyone was talking about here in my garage and all of this stuff.
My garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here. It's fun to drive up here in the Hollywood Hills. But you know what I like a lot more than materialistic things? Knowledge. In fact, I'm a lot more proud of these 7 new bookshelves that I had to get installed to hold 2,000 new books that I bought. It's like the billionaire Warren Buffett says, the more you learn, the more you earn. Now, maybe you've seen my TEDx talk where I talk about how I read a book a day. You know, I read a book a day not to show off. It's, again, about the knowledge. In fact,
I don't think I've ever noticed the picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the background.
Not to show off. It's, again, about...
Look at that. Is that Arnold? Oh, it's not Arnold.
In fact...
That photo's really...
The real reason I keep this Lamborghini here is that it's a reminder that dreams are still possible, because it wasn't that long ago that I was in a little town across the country sleeping on a couch in a mobile home with only $47 in my bank account. I didn't have a college degree. I had no...
Isn't this guy, like, totally broke now? Do you remember he just felt ever present? He had, like, a very simple... Yeah, I realised the way I said that did sound sus. I apologise. He had, like, a really simple catchphrase. He appeared everywhere all of a sudden. Everyone was really interested in it for, like, a really short amount of time because he lied about having inordinate wealth and doing something outrageous that was very easy to see was not actually the case. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was seeing if it was Arnold, okay?
Opportunities. But you know what? Something happened that changed my life. I bumped into a mentor. And another mentor. And a few more mentors. I found 5 mentors. And they showed me what they did to become multi-millionaires.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was looking at different things, so I missed it. I didn't realize that 4chan has an LGBTQ forum. Are you pausing on a picture of a muscular man?
Millionaires. Again, it's not just about money, it's about the good life. Health, wealth, love, and happiness. And so I recorded a little video. It's actually on my website. You can click here on this video and it'll take you to my website where I share 3 things that they taught me. 3 things that you can implement today no matter where you are. Now, this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. You know, like they say, if things sound too good to be true, they are too good to be true. I'm not promising you that tomorrow you're going to be able to go out and buy a Lamborghini.
Right, that's enough of that. Isn't this guy still grifting these knowledge courses? I have no idea. Let's see what he does now. He got sued for $112 million, apparently. And his whole company collapsed and all of this stuff. Like, all of these people will be gone one day. The Clavicular will be gone. Clavicular's not going to stay on the internet that long. He's already doing too much outrageous stuff. There's only a certain amount of time that people are really interested in this. You know? It's a real flavour of the month, and anyone who goes on these meteoric rises tends to fall unless they're a really interesting person. And I don't think any of this stuff, like meeting up with these people, is a good idea to be doing. But it is kind of crazy that they're all just so happy and... Oh my god. That they're all so happy and open to just do this stuff. To just talk like this. It really does show a change in the time that they're all just meeting up and listening to a Kanye West song and doing salutes of a Pearl. Oh my god, why the hell is just... I'm trying to use Twitter, and it is just pulling up huge amounts of awful stuff.
He goes to 1% of disputed custody goes...
Just making... Are you just
This is what has become of Pearl, by the way, just Pearly
making things up?
Like, Just Pearly Things, right, had to delete a podcast because she had Nick Fuentes on, just not even that long ago. And now she's literally sat here frozen, trying to have a debate with Anna Kasparin, I think?
Pearl, what are you doing? Like, seriously. Next question. How many women die every year during childbirth?
Not many.
This country has the highest maternal mortality rate of any developed country, so a lot of women do die as a result of pregnancy and childbirth, yes.
Ice Poseidon's still about. But yeah, Ice Poseidon has certainly fallen off from, like, the heights of where he once was, right? Like, Ice Poseidon was a huge content creator, and now he's not? I don't know. Well, so much of Ice Poseidon's content was just outrageous stuff, like going around and... I mean, actually, there are people who still watch this guy, Ice Poseidon. Although Ice Poseidon did have a beef with that, like, legal mindset lawyer that Ethan Klein, like, had, like, a small alliance with for a while. So, interesting from him. But yeah. Christ. YouTube started banning drinking, did it? But yeah, amazing things are happening in the world of Just Pearl. Pearl said she wanted to physically assault Anna Kasparin.
Pearl isn't saying anything. What?
Pearl is beautiful, but you mock her. She's on something. She's drunk. She getting ready to crack. Pearl isn't a debater. Dude, this is insane, lol.
Got this, Pearl! What the fuck?
Are you just...
Amazing things. But yeah, I do feel like... And also, Andrew Tate is still around and his tweets do well and stuff. But from the point of being like one of the most searched people in the world... His attempt to, like, grift and just get onto every single trend and stuff has really put him in a situation where, you know, people aren't really as interested. Like, okay, this tweet has 4,000 likes. He's got 11 million followers, though. He says, if I were a weak, cowardly little man who lacked masculinity, who lacked masculine quality, I would have two choices. Develop masculinity, which requires work and bravery, or deem masculinity negative in a bid to destroy it, which is far easier. People like easy. Only cowards dispel masculinity. Why is he not in jail? Because it's surprisingly easy to not go to jail when you commit sex crimes. Like, I think it's just as simple as that. And especially when you're rich, powerful, and the president's son worships you. I mean, I don't remember who published that, but there was like a... Hold on. I know we mentioned this earlier. Barron Trump thinks... There's been multiple investigations delving into this, and the Tates and the Trumps and the family connection. And, like, no doubt Donald Trump listens to his son because he's an idiotic... deranged character. Just like, this is just not serious. This is just not serious. All of this is just insane. And the fact that this is like, I don't know, just a cultural moment that is kind of cool for some people, a small amount of people it feels like. The fact that this is like a thing that some people enjoy is genuinely beyond me, because who is watching this? Who's watching like a meetup between Sneeko, Andrew Tate, and all of these people? I don't know. Quickly, I want to watch this clip because I haven't even seen it in full. I meant to watch it, but here's Gavin Newsom being pathetic to Ben Shapiro.
Dragged into this conversation, some run with, flags waving, into the conversation.
This notion of genocide.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, look,
Israel did not commit a genocide in Gaza. There is no standard by which Israel committed a genocide in Gaza, just on a factual level.
Just as a legal and factual level.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your opinion of this?
My opinion is, I understand the tendency for people to assert that.
Why?
On the basis of the images and the proportionality. As it relates
doesn't mean genocide.
No. And by the way, I agree with you.
And international and proportionality
not
doesn't mean that if you kill my child and I then kill 7 criminals, that I've been disproportionate.
Oh God!
Not disagreeing with you, but I think but I understand that tendency on the basis of.
Don't worry, guys. At the next election, if this guy wins, everything will be fine.
Trying to reconcile the proportionate nature of how the war was ultimately conducted and the devastation.
I have a question. Why do you feel the need to create a permission structure for that sort of stuff? I mean, meaning it's not true.
Yeah.
Why not just say it's not true?
Yeah, I don't know the definition, or I don't know the legal threshold. That's not my opinion, so I don't share opinion as it relates to genocide. I do not agree with that notion.
He doesn't know the definition of genocide, but he doesn't agree with it. Like, he doesn't agree with the notion of genocide. Sorry, he doesn't agree that there was a genocide committed, but he doesn't know what genocide is.
But you do understand that if you accuse Israel of committing a genocide, that now puts Israel in the position of it should be a pariah state, because states that commit genocide.
Ben Shapiro, by the way, it's really funny because Ben Shapiro understands a logic that Ethan Klein doesn't, and that liberal Zionists as a whole don't. If you genuinely believe that Israel has committed genocide, then aside from people being like incredibly anti-Semitic and fomenting anti-Semitism, your energy should not be dedicated to policing people for their speech about Palestine and their harsh and stern criticisms of Israel. He understands that Israel should be a pariah state if you are accusing it of genocide, but so many libs think that it's just, oh, if I say genocide bad, I've done the good work around Palestine, without ever reckoning with, hey, if that country has done genocide, then seriously, that is a level of barbarism that is unacceptable.
Should be pariah states. Yeah. So granting legitimacy to that position inherently.
I'm not granting legitimacy. I'm just saying the devastation in Gaza at the human level. You've got 4 kids.
Of course, it's terrible.
No, but I think it's also important to absorb that a little bit more. Just as it was sick, and we were clear in our condemnation, these people like me, as it relates to what Hamas did in that act of barbarism and terrorism.
Yeah, but there's a difference between deliberate terrorism and wartime collateral damage, of course.
I also don't understand how anyone who makes that argument about wartime collateral damage, how October the 7th would not fall within their category of their own justification. And yet it is zero backbone, but it also shows you, like, Palestine is a litmus test in the sense of, in the specific sense of, okay, this guy is going to change nothing about foreign policy. He won't actually make strong statements or change anything about what's going to happen with America if he can't even stand up to Ben Shapiro.
If we refuse to acknowledge that reality, then we end up equating
collateral damage. I have stronger opinions. It wasn't just collateral.
Really, you think that Israel is targeting civilians?
I think some of the double tapping issues. I have a lot of issues with how Bibi ultimately conducted the war. I personally do, and I have a lot of issues that are also painted on the basis of the conversation I had when a few weeks later, after October 7th, the way he talked about the Palestinians. I kept talking about Hamas. He kept talking about the Palestinians. I kept coming back to Hamas, and then ultimately how the war was conducted. Not saying it was a genocide. I'm not. But I have issues.
What is the thing that he said that you particularly?
There was a dehumanization. I didn't like the way he talked about the Palestinian people. I just didn't.
What is the specific?
They can't govern. I didn't. The specific. I don't want to get into the details.
The
of the
reason I'm asking is because when you
the reason he doesn't want to get into the details is because these people are so neutered that they can't actually take any serious position around Palestine. You are joking. This is unpopular. This is like this is unpopular amongst the vast majority of your fans, your followers, and all of this stuff, the supporters of the democratic project, and yet you can't take any stance.
That he is conflating Hamas and the Palestinians.
He wasn't
and of course,
conflating,
it does lead to the conclusion.
They were different. It wasn't.
See you later, Craig.
No. It was. I'm just saying the way he ultimately conducted it. I look back at that conversation. I reflect on rather that conversation. It doesn't surprise me, and I did not think it was proportionate.
Okay,
and I thought it was overwhelming. And
losing a debate to Ben Shapiro about Palestine is insane.
And the devastation and destruction breaks my heart.
Okay, so you're president of the United States. Somebody invades from Mexico. They take several thousand American citizens.
I get it.
Hostage.
By the way,
they hold them all the way until the end of the war. Until the end of the war, there are hostages being held.
Don't get me wrong on any of this. I'm with you in terms of the ultimate accountability and bringing the hostages home. I like the clarity and conviction as it relates to getting all the hostages dead and alive home, and all of that. I'm not denying that.
And by the way, Hamas still has not been extirpated in the areas where Israel has left them alone.
And clearly this truce. And détente is still a work in progress. There's been a lot of destruction.
Well, because Hamas was supposed to be disarmed, and
they
didn't.
I also love that Israel has killed 450 people. 450 people, but that Israel can kill 450 people, but of course Hamas disarming is the concern.
Yeah, there's I'm crystal clear about Hamas.
The point is that
entertaining Ben Shapiro in a debate, but lose is bad. But losing to him is insane. Losing to this guy with no real moral standards and no real understanding of Israel or Palestine beyond I love Israel because I'm a right-wing Jewish person. It's insane. Like, this is a guy who hangs around Benjamin Netanyahu, but will tell you that apparently Hamas engaged in some kind of act of barbarism.
Still clear about Hamas.
Right, but the point is that I think.
Well, the US and Mexico's relationship is not comparable to Israel's occupation of Palestine. Aren't there some states in the US that probably should belong to Mexico? And also, the occupation of the mind by the US of all of the world is comparable to anything.
And I'm also crystal clear in my love for Israel and my condemnation of Bibi. And there's a distinction. I condemn Donald Trump. I love my country.
Wow. Apparently, Kamala Harris wanted ICE to be abolished. Introduced legislation. A recurrent talking point. Okay, right. This is Tabitha Speaks Politics. What Harris said, in 2018, at the height of abolish ICE conversation, Harris sharply criticized ICE's conduct and the Trump administration enforced. She said there was no question that we've got to re-examine ICE and its role and the way in which it is being administered and the work it is doing, and suggested we need to probably think about starting from scratch. There's a lot wrong.
Utterly ridiculous.
That is conducting itself. Israel continues to commit genocide. Of course Israel was committing genocide before October the 7th. But Ben Shapiro is claiming that Kamala said she wanted to abolish ICE. When questioned about whether she would abolish the Department of Homeland Security,
it is utterly
she
ridiculous.
described DHS as dysfunctional and in need of fixing, not elimination. Thanks for the $2, by the way, Limmer Mincat, and you're completely correct. The genocide never ended. Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, just off the top of my head, all seas from Mexico. You can see it just from the place names. Nagot, thanks for becoming a member for 3 months. Absolutely insane. Greatly appreciate. And you've got your blue Labubu already, so enjoy it. Enjoy it. Make sure you wear that blue Labubu as a badge of honor. But yeah, I don't see, because I was looking at this and I was like, oh wait, she said she'd abolish ICE, because apparently Newsom disagrees with Kamala about this. So let's listen to what he had to say here.
We've established.
And Sophie, you made a great point that this is his own podcast. The day me and Isaac are going to bring on Ben Shapiro and then get dog walked by him.
Important. I appreciate the question because I'm glad we've established that we do cooperate with ICE in California. In particular, this governor, who's, as I said, on multiple occasions vetoed efforts to stop me from that coordination for dangerous criminals, and we've done that over 10,000 folks.
Wait, what does he just say?
With ICE in California. So we've established important. I appreciate the question because I'm glad we've established that we do cooperate with ICE in California. In particular, this governor, who's, as I said, on multiple occasions vetoed efforts to stop me from that coordination for dangerous criminals, and we've done that over 10.
I love how this guy sits there and like tweets out about how oh, we're gonna like ICE is evil, and he calls them domestic terrorists and state-sponsored terrorism. And then when he's actually pressed on it, there's no change. There's someone pushed Dems left here. Kamala Harris supported policy that reported undocumented juveniles to feds. This was one of the worst human rights crises we have saw in San Francisco in the last 30 years. Kamala Harris tries to rewrite history with false claim on San Francisco ICE policy. Kamala Harris hasn't announced her support for a policy that ruined young immigrants' lives. I mean, these are all disconnected articles, but still, just this notion that all of these people are major changes on it. And yeah, I had a convo with a DC Dem congressional comms person recently, and she was saying she was excited for Newsom's run. It's really telling the DC disassociation from the rest of the country. Well, also, it's because they'll fool people. They're gonna fool people. People are going to be fooled with all of this stuff, and they're going to believe because of the stuff that they put out on Twitter and because they do strong condemnations without ever taking it far enough. Like Obama calling the bankers fat cats. You know? Obama called the bankers fat cats and did nothing to put them in prison for what they've done. Also, look at this. State-sponsored terrorism. That's Gavin Newsom here. And then he's like, we collaborate with ICE.
Folks. So it'd be wrong for... So when AOC said this week that ICE should be abolished, you disagree?
Oh, I disagree when I think a candidate for president by the name of Harris said that in the last campaign. I came out, I remember being on Chris Hayes hours later saying, I think that's a mistake. So absolutely. Number two, as it relates to the issue of sanctuary policy, I think it's important to establish, because it's not well established, sanctuary jurisdictions have lower crime rates than non-sanctuary jurisdictions. So this notion that it somehow increases crime is also, I think, contradicted on the basis of the facts. So this notion that population, it becomes an attractive nature for population increases, I think is contradicted by the facts as it relates to...
I can't find anything about her wanting to abolish ICE. I can't find anything. Like, here's a recent article. Kamala Harris, who called for a restructuring of ICE ahead of her 2020 presidential bid, adopted a tough stance on immigration in her presidential run 4 years later. Like, where is this? She said she was going to abolish ICE.
The crime, it's contradicted by the facts, but there's unquestionably, and you're right about this, as it relates to an expansion of services, but not just for sanctuary jurisdictions, for population.
This is just a false... Apparently, this is just a false claim from Trump. PolitiFact. Fact-checking Donald Trump's false claim that Kamala Harris has supported abolishing ICE.
Diverse populations. Yes, there are states like California that have chosen a different approach.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just wild. Like, how do you post? This is the other thing. This is all just about optics online and cultivating this notion that you're actually going to make change, that you're nowhere near going to actually have the balls to do. He will just stand for the same things as Kamala, and then he will kick the can down the road until some fucking, like, AI-enhanced Peter Thiel takes power. Peter Thiel with, like, a cyborg eye and a resurrected Charlie Kirk take power and institute full-on Nazism that takes it a step further than what you have now.
One was a narrative that was immediately pushed by the Trump administration and Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem that she was a domestic terrorist who was attempting to run over officers with her car and was legitimately trying, not just this officer, but multiple officers.
Also, how do you have time for a podcast? Like, I'm sorry, if you want to run to be the American president, I think you should be doing shit that isn't your own podcast. Gonna put that out there now? I guess maybe he does no prep, hence why he can't defend any positions and it doesn't look serious at all. But, like, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of really hard. Like, why do you have this? Like, you should be reading. You should be developing a theory of woke Islamist Marxist government, Gavin, instead of this.
That was the original statement. I said at the time, I thought that was untrue. And then your press office tweeted out that it was state-sponsored terrorism, which, I mean, Governor, I do have to ask you about that. Yeah. That sort of thing makes our politics worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, our ICE officers obviously are not terrorists.
Yeah.
That makes our politics worse. Our ICE officers are obviously not terrorists. Yes.
Tragic situation is not state-sponsored terrorism.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I mean, one was a narrative.
But this is just it. This is all you get. Like, I'm sorry, the writing is on the wall. There is hope sometimes. There is occasionally hope with someone like Mamdani that you can kind of think, well, maybe he's going to make some at least decent changes. I mean, he's been disappointing on a multitude of different things, but, like, there's at least some kind of hope in there. There is this kind of hope with who his dad is, with his dad's politics, and, like, generally seeming to just be a more decent guy. But this is pathetic. But then again, I guess once Mamdani gets into the position of power, if he's already capitulating around, like, certain things whilst as the mayor, it remains to be seen if he'll hold up with any of this stuff. Would it be logical to kill me? We can't blame Kirsty Gnome for adopting a dog and killing it. I mean, this brings me on to the next topic of the fucking video, which is fucking Kristi Gnome on, what's it called? Actually, before we do that, we ain't even done the Wordle today. We haven't even done the Wordle today. And you know what? Because we're doing it later on, what would you like to start with? What would you guys like to start with? I'll start with the first one that comes up. Kamala's dad is also a Marxist. Yeah, maybe that. Yeah, you're true about that. I don't really know her parents. Taint. Pizza. Oh, I don't want to start with pizza, but cheers. Brilliant guess. Okay, we can't start with taint. Okay, slate. We'll do slate. After this ill behavior. Okay, so we have... No, it doesn't end in, and it doesn't... I'm just... Oh, okay. So it is something A-X-E something.
It is utterly ridiculous.
And then Ethan Klein cries about why people don't think Kamala was any better than Trump. Both Gavin and Kamala weren't seen positively here, by the way. Thanks for the $5, Knox. I just think it's hard. I think it's hard, and I think that the kicking the can down the road is the strongest argument that I have against it. Like, what is it to return to 4 years of what people would term like a normality, where the news isn't peppered by Trump potentially invading Greenland, seizing Venezuela's president, potentially attacking Iran, doing this, doing that, doing all of this stuff. Like, okay, all of that is like important, right? Sorry, all of that is significant, and it's bad. But, like, simultaneously, similar stuff would be going on under Biden and all of this stuff. Like, I we'll talk about Greenland in a bit, but a lot of the stuff pertaining to, like, the minerals that were potentially going to be extracted there didn't begin under Trump. Like, you know, it was a Biden policy as well. Yeah, I know, no S. So, yeah, it's just this... it's just frustrating. Like, what do you expect to happen? Cavey? Cavern. That's not how you spell cavern. It's got an R in it. What is with the descendants of Marxists or even Soviets being horrible people? Dan Swerdlove of H3H3 descended from a first-gen Soviet officer. What? I'm currently getting into your Goodreads list. Anything you recommend I pick up first? What do you want to read about Awkward? Or Awkward, yeah. Wavy, good guess. Good guess, we'll try that. Ooh, okay. So it's something W-A... What? Waffle, spelt incorrectly? Well, it starts with a W. I can't think of what this will do. Waxen? Oh my god. What the... How is that a real... What does that mean? Like someone who's been waxed? Waxen. Having a smooth, pale, translucent surface made of wax. Waxen. Jesus Christ. I just typed that in and guessed that it sounded vaguely like a word. So I'd forgotten we hadn't even done that. What was I meant to do now? Oh, we were going to watch Christy Gnome. By the way, thanks for the $5, Nox. I don't know if I said that. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for making streaming possible. I'm also, Sophie, I must say, I'm very appreciative of how good the collaboration feature is being used by CBS. Barry Weiss taking over and gutting the company. Maybe bad in some ways, but they're certainly good on the collaboration feature. Oh, yes. But yeah, let's have a look into ICE. ICE.
Castlewood, South Dakota, and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Good morning to you, Madam Secretary.
Good morning.
Well, DHS calls this the largest operation in its history, nearly 3,000 federal agents out there.
It is actually crazy. They're just kind of occupying an entire city. Like, the US is occupying one of their own cities with just an unaccountable militia who have murdered and shot multiple people, who are torturing people to death. By the way, and also, sorry, just quickly, I hope you guys remember a few weeks ago, Asmongold was talking about how he liked people being tortured. 60 Minutes, and you can see why Barry Weiss has had this suppressed and why I'm so hesitant to trust their reporting that between 12 and 20,000 people have been killed in Iran, because this is not a serious media outlet. This was just suppressed. This was literally just suppressed by Barry Weiss because it's bad for the Trump administration. Good to see. She's 28, by the way. Oh my god, how am I forgetting her name? Caroline Levitt is 28. 28. She looks waxen. Yes, they all look waxen. The problem is waxwork people have taken over the United States and you just need Kamala. By the way, for all of the stuff specifically about how, you know, their rhetoric has become more Nazi-like, realize that right-wingers' hyperfixation on the other who invades our country illegally and does all of these awful things, notice how they always focus on the sexually transgressive. Funny thing is the main... the US has always been worse than Israel in the sense of it's Israel's biggest sponsor. And simultaneously, it is born from settler colonialism via a process that in many ways was more successful than Israel's, in the sense of like, okay, they succeeded in, you know, marginalizing a huge amount of natives to the point where politically they don't provide a huge amount of challenges in the case of, in the context of, you know, a challenge to the American governing system, whereas Palestinians still kind of do pose that challenge. I mean, Native Americans do still resist, they do still exist, and they are still marginalized and mistreated. But where they have really been Israelified is in their posting on the internet. They are just like, I mean, the white nationalist stuff takes it a step further than fucking Israel, but like how they talk about themselves, the way in which they post about the people that they're killing and targeting, calling them domestic terrorists. But this whole stuff about the other, is prevalent in Hitler's rhetoric, it's prevalent in KKK rhetoric. Portray the other as a sexually transgressive individual who's responsible for stealing enjoyment from the good law-abiding white man, and you will create a monster who people are willing to punish and harm in specific ways. Hey, just came from the Loner Box debate. Loved your performance. You watched the Loner Box debate. That is a video which I am particularly sad about because Ethan's Basement spent ages editing it and it didn't perform too well in terms of like how well it paid. So sorry, Ethan's Basement. Like big shout out to him. But yeah, I don't know. Just all of this stuff about what's going on with the US right now is horrifying. This is just like full-on fascism. They're doing that with Muslims in the UK. Yes. And Todd, that's why I really like, as I've mentioned over and over again, the racist fantasy is psychoanalytic, but it's really easy to understand. And it's just like such an amazing... It's such an amazing book in the sense of it kind of shows you the way in which racism is not something specific to one movement, and that there are like all of these similarities between all of these different movements and their psychic appeal, like from the Nazis to the lynchers. And it wasn't really Jim Crow that inspired the Nazis. It was much more the one-drop policies, and I think they're called the racial integrity laws, Racial Integrity Act of 1924, which, by the way, if you look into the Racial Integrity Act, if you ever want to look into something like this, the Racial Integrity Act is literally stronger than the Nazis' policies around Jewish people. One drop of black blood famously made you black. That's why it's called the one drop rule.
To a place where they were likely...
There are literally YouTubers in America who went over and filmed this stuff and did propaganda. I think Nick Shirley went to CCOT. In fact, he did. Inside the mega prison full of deadly gangsters. God, Speed has 137,000 viewers. Oh my fucking God. That is insane. For an IRL stream in Marrakesh. But like, this is the guy... This guy who can't even say, what is it, benevolent? Is that the word he couldn't even pronounce? Is defining US policy.
And now the warden of SECOT will describe the type of criminals that are inside the prison.
Aquí tenemos a los peores criminales. My name is Nick Shirley, idiot, and I'm doing propaganda for the US government. The paycheck off this must be fat, by the way. And also, sorry, bit of a dichotomy here. Look at some awful character like this, whose entire success pertains to literally just being basically a government stooge who makes money out of doing propaganda. And then you have fucking iShowSpeed, who's going to like China, Morocco, and all these places and just IRL streaming and showing you that most people are like just very normal human beings. And the amount of by the way, the amount of viewers on that cannot be overstated. Speed must be the biggest streamer in the world, right? Like, by like a long shot. Surely. A lot of people, like, is he the biggest streamer in the world? And, like, fair play to him for being a decent human being. I was watching stuff because I finished Pluribus about, I finished Pluribus and they were talking specifically about the Darien Gap, which I was, like, looking into because I don't really know much about it. And they were just talking how, like, no one is crossing the Darien Gap anymore. There's a rap from Hamilton, Cabinet Battle Free, cut from the main show, with a few modernizations of the lyrics that feel scarily relevant to the current US government. I've never seen Hamilton, I will say. Thank you for the $5. But yeah, I've never seen Hamilton. I quite like Lin-Manuel Miranda, though. He's funny in the podcast episode with... of Always Sunny. The Always Sunny guys. Oh, mother... Hold on. Of Always Sunny. But yeah, some of you were talking about the UK, and friend of the show... Isabel, who messaged me yesterday. You know when you have like a bizarre coincidence in your life that's like, hang on a second, this just feels too odd. Me and Isaac met last night to like, you know, plan streams and stuff and for me to big him up and all of that kind of stuff. We met and Isaac was like, oh, did you want Birch Tree on? And I was like, yeah, I do, Isabel. I don't know why I'm calling her Birch Tree. And she messaged me, like, whilst we were live. And I was like, Isaac, did you message her? Because it's just weird. But this was a good video.
Do British people get that we are next? Like, every single horror story coming out of the US right now, whether it's the baby being tear-gassed and having to be revived, the fact that ICE shot a literal woman in the head, or the fact that they're going door to door asking for papers. Do you get that we are next? I feel like I'm screaming like into like an abyss right now. The fact that both the Conservatives and Reform want an ICE-style border patrol force in the UK. Every single day there is another move capitulating to the right by Keir Starmer. It is actually terrifying. The way that British media and politicians discuss migrants is the same way that the US British media and politicians discuss them. They do not humanize them. They describe them as a drain on resources, as a corrupting influence on British culture, especially white British culture. And And we have even started posting American-style videos of Border Patrol forces.
Yeah. I like the UK's already getting up to that.
I need you guys to understand that they are literally going to have ICE-style border forces walking down the streets of London asking people for papers. That is where we are heading. Do British people...
And Keir Starmer will do it too. And someone just put here, which, which I just want to talk about. I'll see it here. This is the kind of comment that I somewhat have a problem with. Like, I agree, this Luca person, and I feel terribly sorry for them. If Reform win, the NHS ends. Myself and thousands will die an awful death because we can't afford medications. Whilst I, really do understand what he's saying, right? Keir Starmer is doing this. What is this? What do we do? And I don't know if Luca is lived out. I don't know if any of these people are lived out. Voting does not work. There is no option. What do? You watch... You vote for Keir Starmer, and if you don't vote for him, you're the monster who caused these things, but he has capitulated, he has failed so much that it is just totally pointless having him in power. He's the one posting these videos of, epic deportations. Well, of course, he's not posting them himself. He is so incredibly unpopular. It is, genuinely unbelievable. Keir Starmer's a bad prime minister, right? But, he's not that much worse, or he's not even as bad as Rishi Sunak, or, Boris Johnson or Liz Truss. He's nowhere near as bad. But Keir Starmer stands for, allegedly this amazingly pathetic left-wing failure, letting in all of these migrants, even though this guy's, posting epic deportation videos. They're selling off the NHS too. It sucks. It genuinely sucks. Israel leads the pack. The US is 4 years behind, and Europe follows. The US, US is 4 years behind. I don't think the US is 4 years behind Israel. Just putting that out there. Australia is heading a weird direction too. American bullshit has such a grip through social media. The UK is just a pathetic country. Just straight up. Make sure certain issues you don't get to vote on. Exactly, bro. We don't get to vote. The UK government is selling out our healthcare to fucking Palantir.
Is this an open-ended deployment, or is there a metric for success that ends it?
Well, I think every day we get a murderer off the streets of Minneapolis, the public is safer, and President Trump is keeping his
By the way, she does look crazy, and as one of you put it, she looks waxen.
Promise to the American people. And we literally have arrested and detained thousands of illegal criminals in Minnesota since President Trump came back into the White House. And I've never met a family that ever said, oh, I wish you would have left that rapist free. I wish you would have left that murderer on the streets. So we're just so thankful.
Do you notice the hyperfixation on the sexual violence of migrants? Do you notice that? Once again, realize what that is and realize why psychoanalysis is such a powerful tool for understanding this.
That we have a president that's upholding the law and is determined to make sure that the laws are applied equally to everyone.
According to Pew, Minnesota's population of immigrants here illegally stands at 2.2%. So how do you judge when you've gotten everyone off the streets that you say is, requiring your federal agents be there? How do you say we've had mission accomplished?
Well, we won't stop until we are sure that all the dangerous people...
This is the same as the conflation with Palestinians and Hamas. Yes, and it's why Trenda Aragwa, I've tried to articulate this point a few times, but Trenda Aragwa is such a good example because they're like a spectre. In the sense of Hamas is such an incredibly secretive and an organization that, for all of its its lack of comparison to this lack of comparison to Israel militarily, Hamas is incredibly successful at preventing infiltration because even though Israel had total control over the skies, that had they have advanced surveillance systems, senior figures in Hamas managed to stay alive and roam around for a considerable amount of time. I mean, Yahya Sinwar was like out in the open a multitude of different times, walking around, and Israel couldn't catch him. And so in many ways, Hamas is like this spectre where everyone could be a member, and so you have a right to kill everyone. And in the same way that Trenda Aragua is such a secretive organization that once again does not flaunt the narco lifestyle, that anyone and everyone can be a member. And by the way, it's not really a matter of psychoanalysis. They come to rape our women has been a trope since the dawn of man. I mean, in many ways, yes. But why is that such an appealing trope? That's why I enjoy, psychoanalysis. Elbit has lost the $2 billion army training contract to Raytheon UK. I mean, in many ways, that makes me, somewhat happy. But then Raytheon winning it is But well done to the hunger strikers. I mean, it is a great success of them.
Are picked up, brought to justice, and then deported back to their home countries.
You don't have a number or a date?
We wouldn't be in this situation. We wouldn't be in this situation if Joe Biden hadn't allowed our open border policies to be in place and allowed up to 20 million people unvetted into this country. We have no idea how many dangerous people are here. When you have millions of people coming in that are terrorists, suspected terrorists, criminals, come from countries in the mass migration that the Biden administration facilitated, I can't tell the people of Minnesota exactly how many dangerous...
Blaming it on American bullshit ignores Australia's long history of xenophobic, racist bullshit. Stop letting other places off the hook because of America. I mean, I tend to agree. I guess I agree with you. And sorry, I think that I don't know if you're responding to the comment or myself. I do think the Atlanticization is what they call it in the UK sometimes. But I think in the context of, in the context of Australia, you're 100% right. Australia genocided the indigenous population, and still Aboriginals and indigenous people in Australia are mistreated, are abused, have high rates of arrest and death in custody as well, right? If I'm correct there. And that pertains to a long history of extermination of the indigenous people. It's never been my area of expertise.
Criminals they have. I do know that they're extremely grateful every time we get a pedophile off the street. We arrested an individual this week that was raping children.
Wait, what? They arrested Trump? No. Has Trump been arrested?
I think those parents in Minnesota can sleep better at night knowing that that person isn't free.
Sure, but you just said millions. What's the breakdown of the percentage of those who you have in custody who have actually committed a criminal offense versus just the civil infraction?
Every single individual has committed a crime, but 70% of them have committed or have charges against them on violent crimes and crimes that they are charged with or have been convicted of that have come from other countries that are here illegally, first of all, and then they have committed a criminal act while they've been here or in their home countries as well.
It's not 70%.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
70% of everyone
you guys
have
keep
detained
changing your percentage. You pick and choose what numbers you think work, but that is the facts, is that 70% of the people that we have detained have charges against them or have been convicted of charges, and they need to be brought to justice. And we're going to keep doing that no matter how much you guys keep lying and don't tell the public the truth. It absolutely is that these law enforcement officers are out there every day doing the work to protect the American people, and they will keep doing that because they believe in enforcing the law, which is exactly what President Trump has charged them with.
Okay, well, our reporting is that 47%, based on your agency's own numbers, 47% have criminal convictions.
By the way, this is the poverty of debate in one short thing, and why facts don't, facts don't care about your feelings is the biggest load of bullshit. Because this is a point at which the Trump administration, one of its most senior figures, is proven to just lie, to make things up that aren't even based in the reality of her own statistics. Hoist on our own petard, so to speak. But it doesn't matter, because no one will care. This moment at which should be like the terminating moment, the point at which that this is all lies. The occupation is farcical. Anyone who still believes this is stupid. It's not real. It's a complete joke. But it won't change anything for anyone who goes into the position of watching this interview and seeing it and saying, hang on a second, who comes in with the position of like, I support ICE, and then they see Kristi Noem completely lie and manipulate her own statistics, they will not care, because that's not why they find this appealing. They find it appealing because they like seeing brown evil immigrants get punished by good strong white man. And I did have another thought here, by the way, because one of you made this reference to the migrants being whipped on horseback by Biden. By Biden himself. There ain't no way Biden was riding a horse. The guy would have fallen off the horse. The guy's sick. This Biden guy, he's sick. But the ultimate thing is like, look, so let's say that this Trump administration loses. Okay, they lose. That's it. They're out for 4 years. They'll win again. Mark my words, they'll win again. If Trump is out, I don't think it'll be Trump. I think Trump's going to die at some point soon. The next person to come in will probably be J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance will be even less restrained than Trump was, because Trump is laying the groundwork for everything. The Democrats who get into power, if they do, will not undo all of this stuff. They just won't. They may undo some of it, but they will not undo everything. They just will not. And so once the next guy gets into power, they will go full-on white nationalist. Right now, it's coded. Right now, we know that there are white nationalists in ICE. We know that they're posting white nationalist propaganda. It's undeniable. The next time, they're going to start talking about the purity of the white race. They're going to. And they'll start talking about how, people who are born here, people who have... And I know ICE is already doing this to some extent, definitely to some extent, undeniably. It will reach just a certain point at which they are fully up for purity of white race, and that even people who were born here, have lived here for generations, have to go because they're not white. It will happen. It will happen. And the Democrats will have just kicked the can down the road. Unless there is major, major change, it's really hard to know. It's really hard to see how you get anything but just the repetition over and over again of this. I'm trying to see this. Department of Labor. It's the Department of Labor, by the way, is one of the most insane right now. They posted this: 250 years of one nation under God. Happy Sunday, America. A church picnic. Arthur Sarnoff. Why do you think they're posting this? Why? I know I've definitely seen... I was looking at this image before. It's all of this reversion to tradition. And some people have been pointing this out with the milk stuff, which I might actually do, just a full segment on. But just look at this. It's about this reversion to, fucking tradition. And to be clear what America is, a white Christian nation. And some will go, no, you're reading into it too much. Bro, I don't need to read into it. They have literally posted... the lyrics to white nationalist songs. And I actually, you know what? I retract one part of my statement. I don't think J.D. Vance is ever going to win. Because I find him really... I think he's really repugnant. I think he's totally auraless and he's boring. And one of you just pointed this out, by the way, as well. 14 words, 88 characters with spaces. We'll never stop fighting for the American way of life. America first, Americans first. How many... wait. Word counter. Let's check if this is true. Sorry, I accidentally was counting something. Apparently it's... maybe it's copied wrong here. But it's apparently 14 words and 86 characters, no? Have I done something wrong? Is it only counting this as one space? Oh, wait, it doesn't count this as a space. Oh, okay, so I see. So wait, what? But yeah, I mean, It's just odd. Read the fucking words in the tweet. They aren't hiding it. We'll never stop fighting for the American way of life. America first, Americans first. Oof. But sorry, I think JD Vance is sourceless and he won't get in, but they'll find someone. Maybe it'll be Asmongold. Maybe it'll be... I don't know.
Against them. But let's talk about...
Maybe it'll be Asmongold and the Roaches.
But the other numbers...
wrong again. Absolutely. We'll get you the correct numbers so you can use them in the future.
Well, that's from your agency. Let's talk about our numbers here at CBS. 54% of Americans think the ICE agent shooting of Renee Good was not justified. 60% say the Trump administration responded to the ICE agent's actions
Yeah, actually, that is Mel Gibson in the image, and Mel Gibson's got a bit of a questionable history, doesn't he? Also feel like that's crazy, because isn't Mel Gibson, like, famously a bit anti-Semitic? I haven't seen Taylor's new video. I haven't had a chance. I had a busy day. I went to the gym, and I was researching for the stream.
Fairly. These numbers show you do not have the American public on your side. Does that concern you?
Well, the facts are that this individual weaponized her car and threatened the life of the law enforcement officer and those around him. And that is what the media needs to cover. People understand is the truth when they have the chance to hear the facts around the case. And this individual was impeding law enforcement operations for quite some time before this incident happened.
They just straight up murdered a woman in the street. Like, this guy with a gun went to a place to go and enforce something ridiculous, to enforce like an occupation, a hostile occupation of another city based on absolute nonsense, on Somali daycare fraud. And he had a gun. He shot her because he had a gun. She wasn't trying to kill him. These are all lies. People don't support this. People don't like this. People aren't fans of it. And yet they don't care. Because there is enough of a base who are getting the enjoyment that they wanted from these people.
And it's a tragedy that this situation has happened in this country, and we hope there's never another situation like this before. But this officer relied on his training to defend his life.
Her killing was 100% a hate crime. What, like a misogynist violence?
It is utterly ridiculous.
Virtuous Path 9, thank you for that $5. Mel Gibson's dad used to appear on InfoWars and spewed horrific anti-Semitism. The more you know. Jesus fucking Christ. The bloody Gibsons. What are they like?
And to defend those around him, and we're grateful that we're in a situation where we hope that more people don't weaponize their vehicles like this. We're seeing it happen over and over again. We've seen over 100 different vehicles weaponized and attacking law enforcement officers. I would hope that Mayor Fry, when he's on here, that he'll announce that he's going to start working with us to bring safety to the streets. If he would set up a peaceful protest zone so that these individuals can exercise their First Amendment rights and do so.
God, also, by the way, setting up a peaceful protest zone. Once again, realize how the state is neutering protest more and more. They want protest, and by the way, they did this in the UK already to the Palestine protest. This is actually the better way to manage a protest than a highly militarized, authoritarian, brutal crackdown. You neuter it of any meaningful power. Like right now, the ICE agents are like actually scared because they're on the street and, you know, people are shouting at them. And there was that one white guy walking around with a gun, which is here. I like this video. Shout out whoever this guy is. Okay. Once again, I don't like there being guns on the streets. I want to reiterate this. But I'm not gonna, you know, America is this country where guns are prevalent. Someone having a gun like this is not something, or is not what I'm upset about. Much rather, what upsets me is just the existence of these guns and their consequences, and the fact that a situation where someone like Kyle Rittenhouse can go to a protest as a hostile agitator with a gun and get off for killing multiple people. And yes, there needs to be some liking of the stream, I think.
Yeah. You live in the neighborhood? Yep, this is my block, this is my area. I don't go into other people's neighborhoods and try and intimidate them. I protect my people.
This is the MF Peaceful Protest Zone.
Are you giving it
Welcome to the MF Peaceful Protest Zone.
your name?
No, I'm okay with that. Our neighborhood's showing up.
You guys had a lot of people out here, right?
At least
Tara, what even is that gun? Tara, what is that gun?
30 or more.
Yeah.
40 or 50.
That's pretty good for a quick turnout.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If Tara's here, I was just wondering if you can identify that, like, instantaneously. Someone probably will. We'll just have it up for a second. And someone will tell me. Is that an AR? My Little Armalite. Me little Armalite, and it's down in Malahi. It's where I long to be. That's just an AR-15A. AR-15. AR-15A. Crazy. That is such like a deadly weapon as well. Yeah, I mean, it looks cool, but also simultaneously, it still does not make me feel comfortable. But as once again, I do not think that like people like this possessing a gun is the problem. They are just not like potentially very nice weapons.
Peacefully, we would love that, because then we could work together to make sure we're getting criminals to justice and letting people still express their First Amendment rights.
He's going to need the AR when he carries out a silent mission to destroy all of the ICE and DEA agents in whatever New York prison Luigi Mangione and Nicolas Maduro are in. He's going to carry out a daring rescue with the silencer, an in-and-out operation. That's why you need your damn silencer.
You know that it is in dispute about weaponizing a car versus driving forward, but I'll put that...
By the way, in any other country, there would objectively be no dispute about this. Everyone else would just be like, hey, that that police officer acted really, really irrationally, and their behavior was insane, and the fact that they shot someone is unbelievable. Also, great quote from the Y Theory episode earlier, which wasn't a perfect episode, wasn't my favorite, but they did have a great quote. They were like, isn't it a bit odd that an ICE agent who recently apparently got run over and was traumatized by that was just on the streets with a gun? Like, is that maybe not a bit of an issue?
Decide.
No, it's really
Tell
not.
me about...
Everybody can watch the videos and see that.
Well, let me talk to you about the officer, Jonathan Ross. He was struck. He was hospitalized.
Don't say his name. I mean, for heaven's sakes, we shouldn't
This bit is golden.
Have people continue to dox law enforcement when they have an 8,000% increase.
I also really love how dox is basically a totally meaningless thing, you know? Like, people who do real doxing get away with it, but people who do, like, revealing someone's name who's public, who's a public figure, this is not what doxing is it?
He was death threats against them. I know, but that doesn't mean it should continue to be said. His life, he got attacked with a car that was trying to take his life, and then people have attacked him and his family, and they are in jeopardy. And we have law enforcement officers every day who are getting death threats.
To be fair, the people attacking his family may actually be ICE themselves, because his wife's Filipino.
Threats and getting attacked at their hotels.
Well, can you tell me about his status right
ice
now?
Thrown at them and getting...
Well, of course, no one...
And yeah, I do think it's weird hearing the name Jonathan Ross.
Condones violence against anyone. But here, CBS reported that he did have internal bleeding in the torso, but he was released that same day. So is he back at work? Did you give him the required 3 days of suspension?
We followed the exact same protocols that we always have for years as to investigations into these situations. But
3 days of
I'm not going to talk
administrative
about his
leave?
medical records. I know that you know that
what did
itself.
they say?
Internal bleeding in the torso, but he was released that same day. So is he back at work? Did you give him the required 3 days of suspension?
We followed the exact same protocols that we always have for years as to investigations into these situations. But
3 days of
I'm not going to talk
administrative
about his
leave?
medical records. I know that you know that in itself is his prerogative to discuss his health, but we're hopeful that all of our law enforcement officers know that they can go out and do their job, apply the law equally to everyone, and that they can do so safely, and that the media and people aren't going to attack them for standing up for what's right.
I'm asking you about your policies. I asked you...
Back to work 3 days after a tragically being hit with a car. Poor guy.
if you had put him on administrative leave. This is in question because the governor of Minnesota said the only person not being investigated for the shooting of Renee Good is the federal agent who shot her. Is he correct that the federal agent is not being investigated in any way? Is there any review of protocol here?
We are following the exact same investigative and review process that we always have under ICE and under the Department of Homeland Security and within the administration. The exact same policy that the Biden administration used.
So his actions are being
So we haven't
reviewed?
changed any of that. I would not listen to Governor Walz. He has a very bad track record. All this billions of dollars of fraud was stolen from people under his watch. He allowed it to happen.
It is, by the way, once again, insane how much of a cultural impact that stupid Nick Shirley video had for these people.
And he also ignored the law and allowed the city of Minneapolis to burn down in 2020. He certainly isn't have good judgment in these types of situations, and I'm not going to be taking any advice from him in how we implement the law and protect people.
Do I understand you saying that the Office of Professional Responsibility is doing its own probe to determine that the ICE agent violated protocol and that he was on 3 days of administrative leave, because that is what is in the handbook?
To be fair, definitely IDF style, but also IDF styley in terms of, no accountability and not going to prison and nothing happening to you. However, one thing kind of worth saying is, have you ever looked into the sentences of people who were in... You ever looked into the sentences of the people who did the massacres at My Lai? Life imprisonment, commuted to 3 years house arrest by Richard Nixon. This William Calley guy got 3 years of house arrest for massacring scores, hundreds of Vietnamese people, children, babies, in the most horrible way. And he went to prison for 3 years.
The protocol and the advice and the guidance within that handbook and within our policies is being followed exactly like it has been for years.
Okay, so there is some review of his actions.
It's kind of crazy that Face the Nation can operate with a little bit of independence on this and criticize them. I'm sure Barry Weiss watching this is seething, just going, no, 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 no. You must bootlick Trump. You must give him kisses.
Is what I understand you saying there.
Margaret, there always is. Every law enforcement officer knows that. When they take the oath to step up and to protect the public and put their lives on the line, they absolutely know that everything that they do will be analyzed and investigated. But also what I don't think they realized until just recently is how the liberals and the Democrats and the media would attack them and try to ruin their lives for doing what's right. And we're seeing in Minneapolis an unprecedented fraud history going on by elected leaders and individuals in that state, but also...
By the way, also, the level of fraud committed by the Trump administration is obviously the most insane amount of fraud imaginable.
Criminal activity, and it's being allowed to happen. When we did these operations in other cities across the country, we didn't see this kind of violence. We didn't see organized, funded protesters come in to conduct acts of violence against our law enforcement officers
like
we're seeing in Minneapolis. The elected leaders and Mayor Frey.
Also, by the way, anyone who debates like this stuff in any context, I don't understand why they have any complaints about what Iran is doing. Like, why would you have a complaint about what Iran is doing to protesters? They have their justifications. Their security officers were attacked. Why would you complain? Because this, and you look at America and you see so many people who justify this. What
is allowing that to happen and allowing this kind of violence to happen when we didn't see it in Louisiana, we didn't see it in Florida.
Sorry, this is actually true. The US is reportedly considering granting asylum to Jewish people from the UK. My God. Unbelievable. That is genuinely unbelievable.
We didn't see it in other cities.
We will talk to Frey about what's happening in his city.
And we shouldn't have to be watching it here in Minneapolis.
But we have heard, and I'm asking you here about the security of your agents that you say you are concerned about. Mm-hmm. The local police chief said your agents are being forced into situations out in Minneapolis that they're not prepared to deal with. And we looked, and the Government Accountability Office said back in 2021, most ICE agents are not trained to handle crowd control. So are you looking at expanding the training for the agents that you are putting in this situation that you describe as dangerous out in Minneapolis?
They are absolutely trained for the situations that they're put in. We would never put an officer in a situation that they would be beyond their training and skill set. And so these are highly trained individuals that are here and in Minneapolis doing the operations they are. And frankly,
On
the
crowd
Minneapolis
control and
chief of police is
de-escalation?
not an expert. Absolutely, they are trained to that. Their specialized skill set is being utilized for where they are located and the jobs that they are doing in Minneapolis and across other cities across the country. They have an incredible amount of training that is ongoing throughout their careers.
Do you want to
in
expand
crowd
that?
control, in handling enforcement operations that they have. Do I want to expand it based on the Minneapolis police chief's advice?
Well, some
Not on his advice.
No, but
I will
some
continue
Republican
to use
lawmakers
Exactly, yeah. If they had more training, everything would be okay.
if you remember, well, Republican lawmakers and Democrat lawmakers, they absolutely can continue to debate. That's what they're supposed to do, is work on policy and pass laws. What I know is that under the Department of Homeland Security has always been entrusted with training our federal law enforcement officers. We do it for many different agencies. We train those within the ATF, the DEA. We train those that are established across the country. We are the largest law enforcement operation and department in the government beyond the Department of War, and we're proud of that, and we've done it with excellence for years and are continuing to put the resources and people into our law enforcement officers. They need to change and to challenge these situations they're facing on the ground.
Yeah, but you've described this situation as unique. You've acknowledged that. I want to talk to you about some of the incidents that the public has seen. There was a U.S. citizen, Aliyah Rahman, on her way to a medical appointment out in Minneapolis. She was dragged out of her car and detained. Video of her arrest was spreading on social media. There were allegations there of aggressive tactics. You've seen other incidents, for example, out in Minneapolis, this family with 6 children, with one as young as 6.
Kind of crazy. It's also just this fact of like, these are just white nationalists starving like a pro-white nationalism organization.
6 months.
With a literal, by the way, also, someone putting this out on Twitter, and I can't find the tweet I was looking at. This is Greg Bovino, like, marching through the streets.
Get out of the way. Out of the road. Out of the road now.
He looks like a Nazi. Like it's a choice to wear a trench coat.
Out of the road. Hey, jump that bottle. Jump that bottle. You're all fucking pretend. Coward chicken shit.
I like this guy.
Fucks.
I don't know why there's this epic music on, which I'm going to have to mute. Yeah, I mean, he is trying to look like a Nazi. Just the way he's dressed. And I assume, was it only the senior leadership who wore trench coats or like significant officials? I've searched Nazi trench coats and people are just trying to sell me Nazi trench coats. No, it wasn't only senior ones who wore them. They only have civil jurisdiction, which is not criminal jurisdiction. To be honest, Shakespeare, I don't think any of it matters. Nice to see you, but I don't think this distinction matters when it comes to Trump. Like, just, yeah, they just feel like they're pretending to be Nazis. Here's Jeremy giving...
Deported more people than Trump. He even holds the record. Barack Obama deported more people than Trump. He even holds the record. Now they want you to put your body on the line to stop the same agency. A woman is dead after blocking an ICE vehicle and hitting an officer. Same party, same rhetoric, same result. But here's what they hope you never look up. The man running those deportations today, Tom Homan.
Who is this guy and what is his leaning? Co-founder of Rhetor AI. Brilliant. Thanks for that. But yeah, I mean, it's true.
Old got kind of caught in the incident as they were driving to basketball practice. The mother, Destiny Jackson, told CBS ICE agents stopped the car, told them to leave, but the agents were in the way, and they feared that they would have happened to them what happened to Renee Good. They didn't drive off. ICE released a canister of tear gas, and the mother described giving her infant CPR. We're showing that video there. Do any of these tactics seem to you heavy-handed?
Wasn't like the official account tweeting like, don't bring babies to protests?
That family was caught up in that situation because of violent protesters that were impeding law enforcement operations. And that family would have never been in that situation if those protesters had been acting peacefully and law enforcement was able to do their job without being threatened. And so it's a terrible situation that family had to go through, and I hope it never happens again. But we need to remember that because the mayor and the governor have allowed this kind of violence to be perpetuated across Minneapolis is why there's other innocent people that are impacted throughout the city, but throughout their state as well. And it doesn't have to be this way. They could establish a peaceful protest zone. They could enforce.
By the way, Kristi Noem is way too fucking boring. Just look at the way they've been posting. They keep posting this meme that says "You're med schizo," because she was stood in front of one of ours, all of yours. Was a Nazi policy made when an SS officer was killed in a Czech village, and then the Nazis killed every single resident of a village. Wait, what? So I don't think that this is necessarily fully true, but I don't think it matters whether it's fully exact or true. They're already posting a load of other crap that's almost exactly the same as this. But they're just posting like this, "You're med schizo." It's just crazy. Let's have a look. I really want to find this one where they responded to, like, where they said, like, don't bring your baby to a protest or something. They just post screenshots on the Department of Homeland Security. That's like it. Let's have a look. Oh my god, I've not seen... There's so much horrifying shit posted by these accounts. Mass deportations equal lower housing costs. Mass deportations equal higher wages. Mass deportations equal more jobs. Mass deportations equal lower crime. Mass deportations are improving Americans' quality of life. Let's have a look. Mass deportations equal lower housing costs. In 14 of the top 20 metro areas with the largest illegal migrant populations, home list prices declined year over year in December, and the 3 metro areas that saw modest price increases are all in so-called sanctuary cities. How do you just take this? How do you just take this instantaneously to mean that? Like, what? Are there any other metrics? Are there any other things that I might need to know about that place of why a housing price might decline? Like, I'm sorry? Like, it's just not... It's not serious, you know? Like, I can see this, and someone might be fooled into just going, oh, okay, that sounds like there's some logic to it. Is there? Because there's not like any explanation. It's just posting 2 things happening. American truckers and construction workers, both industries with high numbers of foreign-born workers, have reported large increases in pay as blue-collar wages grow at the fastest clip in decades. Overall, real wages for American workers are on track to rise 4.2% in Trump's first full year. What? There's not even any evidence of this. They're just saying things. More jobs. 2 million native-born Americans have gained employment, while 662,000 foreign-born workers have lost employment. 1.8 million native-born Americans have joined the labor force, while 881,000 foreign-born workers have left the labor force. What? The nation experienced the largest single-year drop in murders on record last year, alongside steep declines in rapes, robberies, aggravated assaults, shooting deaths, the fewest since 2015. It would be nice to have some evidence to this rather than posting, just saying it. The results are especially pronounced in Democrat-run jurisdictions where the Trump administration conducted mass deportations and enhanced law enforcement operations. Well, the reason they can't say Native Americans is because Native Americans are the indigenous people of the actual land, so they have to say native-born. But this kind of stuff is just like, to fully understand something like this, you would have to be like, okay, what's the other context? Have all crimes gone down? Is this an association specifically with crimes that were perpetrated at a way higher rate by immigrants? But instead, it just goes like, no, here's an example of all the things that are happening. And oh my God, okay, so there's links in...
Chicago ended 2025 with the fewest number of murders in 6 decades. Look at this. Police released preliminary crime statistics showing there were 416 murders last year. That's the lowest number since 1965, when there were 395 murders reported. Again, these numbers are preliminary, could change in the coming weeks as police finalize reports. Police Superintendent Larry Snelling and Mayor...
Okay, so so this isn't even saying that it's the final numbers. So there were 2,797 shooting victims in 2024, 1,847 in 2025. There were 587 murders in 2024. Okay, here are some random numbers. See how good things are. Yeah, I mean, that seems to be what it boils down to. Here are numbers. They must be true. Let's have a look. Show signs of improvement under the Trump administration. Let's have a look at this one. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Unemployment levels, foreign-born. Number in thousands. Okay, let's have a look. December, 31,112. Why were there just -9 in October? Data unavailable due to lapse in appropriations. What? Don't these numbers look higher than the previous year, or am I stupid? Have you considered that if ICE is abolished, domestic murder rates will go up? I hadn't considered that. Why did you delete that comment? The Chicago is famous for suppressing murder statistics. I'm guessing it was an accident. Right, let's have a look at this other one. Both industries grow on track. Blah, 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 blah. Americans have joined the labor force. Okay. But there also looks to be a decline, but I guess it's already up from 2024. Peaks and troughs. Intriguing how that happened during the last Trump administration. I don't fucking... Yeah, that did happen, that major drop. Oh, it was during the pandemic. The height of the pandemic, at least. But yeah, it's true that crime fell since last year. It also fell since year before and the one before, and that it's just a trend, and deportations had zero effect on that. Yeah, I mean, crime has fallen massively in the UK as well. Or it's at a low in places like London. There are some other incredible videos, by the way, involving Greg Bovino.
Hey fam, I was in Minneapolis and look, we just stumbled upon Greg Bovino at a fucking Speedway for a pre-Hague photo shoot. So, good for him, I guess. For those following along at home, I have nothing against short men, but I do just have to report back there is about a 4-inch height difference. Do you want to get closer so they can see?
Oh, no, sure. A little higher there for you.
Still not the same. So Greg, you're standing right there in front of me, but to everyone following along at home, I hope you fucking eat shit. I hope this keeps you up at night for the rest of your life, and no one fucking wants you here. Oh, fantastic language. There's children in here, and your fucking vehicle, asshole. Choke.
Amazing. Amazing. And I think also, by the way, all of this stuff about construction, people who are in precarious labor situations tend to create the backbone of the American construction industry. BLS has been gutted. I don't know if their numbers are good. Yeah, who really knows if their numbers are good? And this is just like one explanation. This is just like one thing and saying this thing means that. There's nothing else contextualized about it, about why that may have happened, what's causing that, if policing has actually improved, although I doubt that. By the way, I assume that this is from ABC or MSNBC. Is that MSNBC? I don't know. And by the way, I'm not sure who said that they were enjoying no, NBC News, my apologies. The person who said they're enjoying the stream. And thank you very much. I'm glad to hear it. I think it was Peggy. I think you said you're enjoying the stream, but thank you very much.
This is actually the 5th person to die in ICE custody here in the U.S. within the last 16 days. That's what's sounding the alarm for advocates tonight. New details from ICE actually confirmed that he was found January 14th in his sleeping quarters hanging.
For apparently, fucking Reuters being paywalled is driving me up the bend. So I was just checking for a second. I was like, oh, maybe I'm wrong here. Apparently already, four migrants die in U.S. immigration custody over the first 10 days of 2026. Fucking crazy already.
And unresponsive before being pronounced dead an hour later at the hospital. We're told he was arrested on January 7th for driving without a license by the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. A father never came home.
It's just simply gut-wrenching.
34-year-old Eber Sanchez Dominguez, a husband and dad who died while in ICE custody at a processing center in Clayton County just days after being detained. His family says he leaves behind a wife and children who are now raising money for funeral costs while still searching for answers about what happened inside.
Right now, as another family grieves the loss of a loved one, we need to get to the bottom of why people are dying at such a rapid rate in immigration detention.
Kind of amazing. Just horrible things are happening over in the ICE detention centers. Let's finish this segment up by listening to Jacob Frey on his business here.
Now by the mayor of Minneapolis, Mr. Jacob Frey. Good morning to you, Mr. Mayor. The secretary specifically called on you to set up a safe zone where protests would be contained. Is that something you're looking at?
First Amendment speech is not limited to one park or one section of the city. You are allowed to.
Bro, fair play. I thought maybe I'm speaking. I've pulled the trigger too quickly, but I'm kind of surprised he'd say that, because in the UK they'd be like, yeah, we're doing that.
Protest so long as you're doing it peacefully. And by the way, we've got tens of thousands of people in Minneapolis that are grinning down the bear, that are peacefully expressing their First Amendment rights. So no, you can't have just one section of a city. That's not the way First Amendment works.
I want to ask you a number of things about what's happening in the city, but I just want to get out of the way. These reports that have been in the press since Friday, that you and Governor Tim Walz are under federal investigation. CBS reporting is that this is for alleged conspiracy.
If you arrest Jacob Frey, you arrest 100 Jacob Freys.
To impede immigration agents. The Deputy Attorney General also said earlier this week he's going to stop you, quote, from your terrorism. Have you received any subpoena or any official notice that you are under investigation, and if so, for what?
We have not received any official anything at this point, and so I can't comment on what I don't know about. That being said, this whole dynamic is deeply concerning, because supposedly they would be coming for me and targeting me for something that is core and critical to my job as mayor, and that is speaking for my residents and my constituents. That we are at a place right now where the Department of Justice or the federal government could be coming after senators and governors and mayors simply for speaking for their respective constituencies and disagreeing with this federal administration.
By the way, I do actually think it's a good thing coming for certain people, but it's more people who support genocide and extreme violence on people all over the world.
I mean, this kind of thing happens in other countries. This cannot happen in America.
Well, our reporting is it's impeding immigration agents, but the specifics of that, we would love to see some paperwork on from the administration. In terms of what's happening in your city, the Minnesota National Guard was mobilized Saturday by the state, which the police chief supported as potential support for his local law enforcement. They have not been deployed. Do you think your city needs them, and how would you describe the protest this weekend?
We are doing the work to keep people safe in our city, and specifically, it is our local police officers. It is the state of Minnesota and our governor. We are doing everything possible to keep the peace, notwithstanding this occupying force that has quite literally invaded our city. I mean, we've got 600 cops in the city of Minneapolis, and we're talking about 3,000 plus ICE agents and border control that have come in. They're not making our city safer. In fact, our city has been safe. Crime is down in virtually every category and virtually every neighborhood of the city.
You said occupying force. Don't you think it's a bit much?
I mean, look, you can go through whatever rhetorical...
Yeah, also, yeah, they keep saying this isn't what America is. 100% this is what America is. It's always that way.
Flourish you want, but when you have 3,000 ICE agents and border control come to the city, when you've got this supposed threat of 1,500 military coming to the city, yeah, that's very much what it feels like. When you outnumber local police officers 5 and 6 to 1, that is the vibe. And so the bottom line is, if the goal were safety, this is not how you get there. If the goal is safety, I can give you a very antidote to some of the violence that we're seeing, and it's have them leave.
Well, they argue, the administration that is, that...
Jesus Christ. By the way, Donald Trump posted about killing Ilhan Omar. Sorry, I've just seen this. There is a 19 billion... Oh, wait, I'll hide my camera. Hold on. There is a $19 billion in Minnesota Somalia fraud. Fake Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, a constant complainer who hates the USA, knows everything there is to know. She should be in jail, or even a worse punishment, sent back to Somalia. Oh, okay, sorry, he didn't threaten her. Or even a worse punishment, sent back to Somalia. So he didn't threaten to kill her. Considered one of the worst countries in the world. She could help to make Somalia great again. Jesus Christ. Whew. You are chat is the line reader. He didn't actually threaten to... Oh, gosh, yeah, there is a very racist reply tweet in there. Many apologies.
This is a sanctuary county and a sanctuary city, and they are enforcing federal immigration law, and that, therefore, this is called for, that they're cleaning up a mess that the last administration created. I mean, how do you prescribe in this unprecedented situation for local and federal officials to work together here?
We have worked together. We do work together when this is about getting murderers and rapists and all the other bad stuff that Kristi Noem just said off the street. We have worked with the DEA and the FBI. We've worked with the ATF and the U.S. Attorney's Office to drive down crime, get violent criminals off the streets. And on the north side, shootings are the lowest that they've ever been, I believe, on record. And so nobody's against that. But that is not this.
So would it just be that there's a general decline across all of America, and that they're just that they're picking and choosing specific cities to point to, and then just be like, oh, look, we've declined it because of what we've done?
This is not about safety.
Sorry, I am in awe of this Trump Truth Social account.
Since you're about... Can I ask you a question? Since you're about...
What is wrong with Charlie Kirk in this? This is AI. Why does his face look like that? What the... No, this is not real.
Presenting yourself to the world. Do you have a good relationship with your father?
What is this? Why did...
Okay, here we go.
No, I don't talk to him.
I'm not...
Why does he this?
Not surprised.
Yeah.
Can I ask you
Charlie Kirk does look bad normally, but he looks really stupid.
a question? 'Cause
He looks bizarre.
What this is about is coming into our city by the thousands and terrorizing people simply because they're Latino.
By the way, Trump posted that with the caption, Charlie Kirk discovered the root problem with liberal white women and why they are so angry. Thanks for your Freudian analysis, Trump.
Or Somali. And yeah, people in Minneapolis are speaking up. They're speaking up peacefully. They're standing up for their neighbors. And this is not just about resisting Trump. This is about loving and caring for the people that call this city home. And it's been inspiring.
Well, on the ICE actions themselves.
Well, it is also just objectively a foreign occupation that, like, it's not benevolent to the laws of the local area and just can murder people as it sees fit and get away with it.
Your attorney general out in Minnesota, Keith Ellison, has asked Minnesotans to gather information about federal actions and post them on his website. What's the intent of those incident reports? And I understand in theory what this is, but if you are saying that it is not safe for civilians to be inserting themselves in enforcement operations or even surrounding enforcement operations, aren't you asking them to do something that is endangering them?
No, civilians should not be involved in enforcement operations. Taking a cell phone out and videotaping what's going on is not enforcement. That's transparency. You know, sunlight can be the best disinfectant, and in this case, yeah, they're disinfecting some of the really horrible things that are taking place on our street because, you know, to the extent that ICE agents are doing things that are unconstitutional, and by the way, they are. This is their opportunity to make sure that it is seen, that it is judged, and that we get our day in court. They do.
I think.
I really. Someone put this.
Malcolm X, you were involved in a controversy some months ago with your leader. Is that over?
Well, I've been silent for the past 90 days because of some statements I made concerning the President of the United States, which were distorted.
They were distorted?
And yes.
What did you say, Malcolm?
Well, I said the same thing that everybody says, that his assassination was the result of the climate of hate. But only I said the chickens came home to roost, and which means the same thing. Climate of hate means that this is the result of something. And when I said chickens coming home to roost, chickens coming home to roost, I said the same thing.
But you did not say that you were glad the president was killed.
No, that's what the press said. What would I look like saying that I'm glad the president was killed?
Malcolm, this was your first public statement in that 90-day period, is it not?
First time I opened up my mouth in 90 days. That's why I'm talking so fast and so hearty.
You did.
God, he is very likable.
You feel, however, that we're making progress?
No. I will never say that progress is being made. Knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches. There's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull the knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there.
You haven't.
Incredible. Marco Rubio rips into Donald Trump's views on Muslims. Is that what we have to watch next? Is that what we have to watch next?
I say what the Quran says.
Malcolm X film edit. I really hope this doesn't get the stream demonetized. No.
I wanted to ask.
Got it.
I'm trying to find this edit of Malcolm X film. There's like a really good edit of 4 Raws. 4 Raws. Let's see. I'm sure it won't get demonetized. Oh, it's incredible. I really want to find it. Hold on. Malcolm X 4 Raws. I'm 4 man deep in this German. I can't wait until part of me does actually want to start streaming on Twitch so I don't have to deal with fucking copyright. I can't actually find this, so right, I'm gonna give up on that. But yeah, I mean, Oh, you know what? I have to do this because I prepped it the other day, and it feels like it would be a mistake not to do it. Any of you, I'm sure if some of you are on Twitter, you are familiar with all of this stupid stuff they've been doing about the milk and drinking whole milk. When you take the first sip of whole milk, this is really quite something. Also, the reason I kind of think about Twitch is just, I really enjoy streaming on YouTube, and I will keep doing it for a while, but it's just like you play 10 seconds of a copyrighted clip, and you don't get paid for any of the stream, and it's just kind of like, hang on a second, what? And I've had, like, false claims that I can't really seem to deal with about, like, the Charlie Kirk AI song, which is definitely a fucking scam. But yeah, more toothless than we are right now, and it breaks my brain even though I expected it. But yeah, apparently a dog whistle. Yeah, I mean, apparently a lot of evil people enjoy drinking milk in this kind of stuff. Apparently, like, if you look at evil people in films, Alex in The Clockwork Orange, which I watched last night, he drinks milk. Hans Lander drinks milk. Like, many people in, like, horrible films, or sort of who are horrible characters in films, drink milk. And now Riley Gaines drinks milk. By the way, the MAGA face on her looks just awful. The milk mustache is back.
Sorry. Okay. The milk mustache is back.
She also doesn't have a milk mustache.
To drink whole milk.
It's really odd, because do you think she got paid for this? Like, in fact, no, she must have been paid for this. Just like, it's just insane that you can be paid for this kind of stuff. Hold on. There was, back in my day, being called a milk drinker was a bit of an insult.
The mine is closed. Get lost. Helping out Ina Thatch, huh? Give me a reason not to plunge a dagger in your chest. Milk drinker. Milk drinker.
Milk drinkers are absolute cowards. Milk drinkers crime. There's better ones of these. People call you a milk drinker.
What's a milk drinker like you doing out here? Go home to your mother.
Dairy industry is even crueler than milk farming. Than meat farming. I mean, in many ways, yes, it's a cruel industry. It's not particularly pleasant. But also, this is a load of rubbish. Like, but when I was first going to talk about this, right, like, my opinion was that, yeah, it's all a dairy farmer thing. It's a load of crap that basically getting whole milk is not really that important. But let's have a look at Dr. Rubin. I like this guy because he teaches me about why I have an allergy. So he's a very important man in my life.
Stop. The new guidelines recognize that whole, nutrient-dense food is the most effective path to better health and lower healthcare costs. Protein and healthy fats are essential and were wrongly discouraged in prior dietary guidelines. We are ending the war on saturated fats. Diets rich in vegetables and fruits reduce disease.
This is, by the way, what it's all about. Like, apparently it's to do with the reason that... So, whole milk was never not exactly fully available, as these people claimed. Whole milk generally wasn't given out in schools because they basically believed, oh, if a kid drinks it 3 times a day, that's way too many saturated fats. Americans' diets are already filled with saturated fats. Back when it was like a really popular thing, it was something where people had more heart disease, more issues such as all of those kind of things. But, like, this kind of frames it in the way it is. Ultimately, it doesn't really seem like something that's that significant. It doesn't really seem like something that really matters all that much. Sorry, also, I will look at the art thing, just not right now. My apologies. Well, actually, no, I can look at it right now. Hold on. From what I could understand, it's a pretty complex debate. Okay. That is one that I appreciate looking at. Hold on. Fuck off. Why can't I save it? Let me just paste the image in my stream prep for last week. Hold on. From tragedy to farce, Das Bürgerreich. I like that you've put the anarchist communist and what's the one at the bottom, left-wing party. I like that a lot. Okay, that was worth checking out. Thank you very much. I will go through the art at some point. Janada, that was a fantastic edit. Yeah. It's not whole raw milk. Raw milk is different. Basically, people were saying that they wanted to do a campaign around making people drink raw milk, and were told no, don't do that. But yeah, this is Jake Scott, MD. There is apparently some significant debate around this and whether you should have it. Whole milk is more expensive, so maybe most people won't choose it. This is an old article from Time magazine from September where it's talking about whole milk versus raw milk. So, yeah, there's like a 2-year study, and they said it was basically inconclusive, I think. Whole milk contains high amounts of saturated fat, and researchers found that saturated fat raises cholesterol and is linked to an increase in cardiovascular problems. I mean, this is just a mental individual who is, people can better their lives, but I think like a sort of a former heroin addict who is telling you that you shouldn't be getting vaccines, that you should be like just getting diseases, is someone who you shouldn't be listening to about what you should and shouldn't eat. But yeah, the White House is framing whole milk in schools as a nutrition win. It isn't. Whole milk and low-fat milk have the same protein, calcium, vitamin D, and 13 essential nutrients. The only difference is about 50 extra calories and 5 grams of saturated fat per cup. There's some observational data suggesting that kids who drink whole milk weigh less, but it's all high-risk bias, and no randomized trials have shown that whole milk is actually better for them. What would actually improve school nutrition? Giving kids more than 10 minutes to eat, scheduling recess before lunch, funding kitchens to cook real food instead of reheating pre-purchased processed products, paying cafeteria workers competitive wages so schools can actually retain staff, upgrading equipment that's decades old, offering more menu choices including culturally appropriate foods, pre-slicing fruit so kids will actually eat it. Is that actually a major thing? Those cost money. Swapping milk cartons costs nothing and gets you a headline and whatever the hell that AI milk video was. Well, something that this guy has not included in his analysis, which is definitely mentioned in this Times article that they talk about in this, is that also apparently Big Dairy believes that... I'll see if it's here. Okay, right. Oh, fuck off. Why is this here? So this is someone saying, Greg Dowd, maybe? CEO of the National Milk Producers Federation. I'm in the National Milk Producers Federation. The dairy industry has been bent on this idea that if we could just... Oh, sorry, this is Manda, sorry. If we could just get more high-fat milk out there, more people would start drinking and enjoying it. Says Manda, the former senior policy official for nutrition. By the way, I found a random Reddit comment, which I don't know if I could pull back up, of someone talking about this who was a dairy farmer, or at least claimed to be. It's obviously not the best source. He was like, apparently giving out like whole milk to people is bad, because when you're like a dairy farmer, apparently you make way more chocolate milk for kids, and so kids will be getting full fat chocolate milk, which is a bad thing. Give me some whole milk, Chris. But yeah, I mean, it's probably no big deal. It's all really debated, but let's see what Dr. Rubin, allergy man, has to say.
Risk more effectively than many drugs. Whole grains outperform refined carbohydrates. Added sugars, especially sugar-sweetened beverages, drive metabolic disease, and today our government declares war on added sugar. Highly processed foods loaded with additives, added sugar, and excess salt damage health and should be avoided. As Secretary of Health and Human Services, my message is clear: eat real food.
RFK Jr. has announced a new set of dietary guidelines, which looks like the food pyramid upside down, which in reality, we had My Plate after the food pyramid, and people are being gaslit into thinking that we had some kind of war on saturated fats when the evidence is still clear. High saturated fat intake is associated with increased LDL cholesterol levels, which increases the risk of atherosclerotic cardiovascular episodes like heart attack and stroke, which we know cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer in the United States. This type of recommendation is not evidence-based and will not make Americans healthy again. I will say, though, that having a diet that is highly processed is not necessarily healthy, but that's something that we've known for a long time. The problem is that people don't follow these guidelines to begin with. Part of that has to do with the fact that we don't have a system in place to help people get access to healthy, nutritious foods. The system has to change. The guidelines didn't necessarily have to.
Today, the lies stop.
You drink your soy and nut milks, gay boy. We will drink raw whole milk like men and get parasites along with all the saturated fats. It's all a bit woke and scientific, frankly. Let's go with this lizard man. Yeah, let's go with the lizard man. I think that the strange individual who is Robert Kennedy is probably far more trustworthy. And any campaign that has Riley Gaines' face put to it, how would you not trust a face like that? I just want to see if they're...
But what I would say to people is do your own research.
Germany's paying $20. Alabama.
Oh, wait, he has a video.
Hi, my name is Dr. Rubin, and that was a pretty unusual video to see from our Health and Human Services Secretary. I'll put a more entertaining piece of content at the end of this video, so stick around. But you may be wondering, why is the federal government obsessing over whole milk? It's essentially bringing back the Got Milk campaign of the 1990s. Well, it has nothing to really do with nutrition. It really has to do with politics, vibes, aesthetics, appealing back to the past, like something that your grandparents drank. But there's really no scientific evidence.
By the way, I will say about the video that was like, oh, evil people drink whole milk in films. They did kind of just list out loads of evil people who drink whole milk in films. Like, I get it, and I do think there is certainly something dog whistly. I actually think within a short explanation there, though, he gave a way better answer and explanation as to why, that it's kind of a reversion to tradition. There was, by the way, loads of posts on, like, a UK fucking far-right TikTok not long ago that was like, remember when the milkman came? Things were good when da milkman came. And it's just like, what? But then you realize that this is just like a reversion to tradition. And perhaps actually where like the kind of white supremacy and all of the shit lies is not just like evil bad people drink milk in films, but the reversion to like the simpler, more whiter America kind of time. Like actually that's probably the better explanation of it as a dog whistle rather than bad people in film drink milk. Although I did like that video though.
Drinking whole milk is superior to low-fat milk. You're just turning up the knob on the fat content. And right now, they still recommend that you consume about 10% saturated fat. And with all this obsession over meat and whole milk, it's going to be very hard to actually adhere to these dietary guidelines. With that being said, I'm going to leave you with something that will just be a little bit more entertaining.
Thanks, Dr. Rubin. And now back to Riley. Okay, for the next hour of the stream, we're just going to stare at this photo of Riley. It's kind of like cottagecore, ladies. Yeah, it's I think it's just about like this reversion to tradition. And if you look at the like the memes they've been posting, like I don't even know what this is. Does anyone know what game this is? I mean, you're missing you can't see the POTUS. Hold on, Henry will love this. Henry, I wish you were here to see this. Look, I hid myself. I mean, here's a great comment. Now that's what I call a distraction from the Epstein files. But what game is this? They're saying, like, we're bringing back whole milk and making America healthy again. Large milk. Diet Coke? MAGA? Milk? Is it Stardew Valley? Stardew Valley should sue fucking Trump for this shit. Yeah, somewhere in England, Henry Stirs. Yeah, I mean, a very interesting meme. Like, all the cows are asleep. This cow here looks strange, the pink one, and then this one here looks kind of angry. I don't know what's going on here. RFK being a pampered rich kid born into elite circles has more to do with his stupidity than his drug abuse. I think RFK had more to do with his stupidity than his drug abuse. Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, actually, you're probably right about that. And I like the other one. Is whole milk code for something? Is this another Epstein activity from the Pedo Protection Squad? Like, look at this one. Make whole milk great again. It's just kind of a bit odd. Like, I mean, there's the reversion to tradition stuff, though, actually. Like, the milkman is back. Welcome to the 1950s, where we had milkman. Has the price of eggs improved in the US? Yeah. Wait, this is the most unusual one of all the videos from the Department of Agriculture. Kids deserve real nutrition. Always have. Now, this looks like a real school kids uniform, right? Like, sorry, a kid's school uniform. School kids uniform. I don't fucking know. This looks like one, right? Like, this looks like someone who, I don't know, that kind of looks like the kind of school uniform I might have worn.
Yeah, nice.
Look at these. These don't look like things kids would wear. The baby looks like... I don't even know what the baby looks like.
2, 3.
Milk.
It's just a really unusual video. Yeah, Mike Gapes is smiling along somewhere, Greg McGregor. It just looks really odd. These don't look like normal school uniforms. Drink whole milk. Let's have a look at some of the other white nationalist shit they've been posting. White nationalist. Department... Why is it the Department of Labour that looks like the worst? I really don't get why the Department of Labour posts the most Nazi shit. Let's just have a look. I'm just going through the Department of Labour and seeing if there's any photos that this might have drawn inspiration for. By the way, they're actually
It is utterly ridiculous.
They're actually just posting huge amounts of like Manifest Destiny stuff. I think an angle I haven't seen that much to do with Greenland is actually just like kind of. I think Trump really wants to revive like an old America. And Michelle, thanks for the €5. They're trying to appeal to people who wish for the good old days when bigotry was socially acceptable. I think there's kind of a perception that America has stagnated, and realistically expelling every immigrant and every non-white person is not practical for any capitalist government of any sense to do. And so it will never happen on the scale that people fantasize about. But maybe by expanding America and doing some settler colonialism, Trump will do that again. Because the shit about Greenland is crazy. And yeah, the bigotry being socially acceptable, just posting Manifest Destiny stuff is insane. By the way, there's actually like a fucking... like, look at these. Patriotism, not globalism. Bizarre shit. Jesus. Oh, I don't know what the prompt they gave Grok was. I'm just kind of looking through this account.
Our ancestors climbed mountains, conquered oceans, crossed deserts, and trekked over wide open plains. They were champions for their people who...
This is a really shitly edited... What the fuck? Wait. This looks like a really shitly edited Nazi video. Our ancestors climbed mountains, conquered oceans. This is a shit edit, by the way. Crossed deserts. Like, look at all the pictures. Some of them are really blurry. And trekked over wide open plains. They were champions for their people, who never gave up, and who never ever gave in. Our ancestors... Oh, wait, I'm reading the same thing again. I'm just looking for this through this account. It's just pretty weird. Look at this one. What's this? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I am not reading that out. The US Department of Labor just seems to be on some real Nazi shit, and I don't really know why this account specifically is. Satire is AI now. I mean, the US government has fired everyone. Yeah, actually, you know what, politics? This is a little bit too woke for my likings. They need to be wearing blue and red, pink the opposite way round. Pretty inappropriate. It's not very good. It's a big failure from the Trump administration. I've never played Disco Elysium. I would actually kind of like to. I just want to see. There was like a long video of Trump talking about this. Oh, God. Who is this guy? Who is this athlete? And then look at the comments. Andrew from the Hills. Make it raw and local. Drink raw milk. Someone did make a point though. Apparently some people have milk parties. Milk parties. White nationalists. Apparently some. Yeah. Wait. Actually, hold on. Let me just pull this up. So on the side of this also being a white supremacist talking point, or like a white supremacist thing, why white supremacists chugging milk and why geneticists are alarmed. God, this is an odd thing for a New York article of just like so much spammed out stuff. Nowhere on the agenda of the annual meeting of the American Society of Human Genetics being held is a topic plaguing its members is recurring. The field's research in the name of white supremacy. Sticking your neck out on a political issue is difficult, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, apparently it's mostly to do... I haven't read this, but I have seen people talking about this. Apparently it's mostly to do with a lot of the world can't actually digest lactose intolerance world map. Let me just have a look at the lactose intolerance world map. Fuck off. Okay, right. Prevalence of lactose intolerance. So this is looking at places that have like large amounts of lactose intolerance here. So prevalence of lactose intolerance. Okay. So what, like in the US it's low, across Europe it's... God, the UK loves their milk. That's actually insane. Then there's pretty much all of Eastern Europe can... Here, across the Middle East. By the way, Middle Eastern people always tell me that no one has allergies, but... Oh, wait, no data. Why has the UK got no data on lactose intolerance? Yeah, people have sort of... Okay, so these are just places with no ability to digest. The ability to digest lactose spread from Neolithic humans. It came from the Middle East, Fertile Crescent. Really interesting. But yeah, basically some people have pointed this out about white supremacists loving milk. Okay, here we go.
Today I'm Delighted to sign the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act into law. Schools will finally be able to expand their offerings to include nutritious whole milk. This legislation also allows parents to directly request a subsidy.
Okay, right, this has some kind of shitty music on. I'm not listening to it. But we will watch something because most of you won't hear on Friday. This is a busy stream, by the way. Thanks for everyone who's donated and supported and also who's watching this. So quickly, we'll fast forward to Trump's best moment involving the whole milk.
Long time, we hope. As it currently stands, schools participating in the National School Lunch Program are only able to offer students low or non-fat milk options. That was changed during the Obama administration. A lot of people disagreed with it at the time. With this legislation, schools will finally be able to expand their offerings to include nutritious whole milk. It's actually a legal definition, whole milk. And it's whole with a W, for those of you that have a problem. Most of the media will get that.
By the way, someone making a comment like that at the age of 80 years old, this guy is a dirty dog pervert. I mean, we all know that, but yeah.
This is the perfect follow-up to the new real food pyramid, and Secretary Kennedy and Secretary Rollins announced that last week. You probably heard.
Wow. Huge, huge. Huge. I, for one, am very excited, but yeah, it just all seems kind of crazy to me. All of this seems like just insane. But let's get on to Greenland. So that's always the exciting part. So aside from, I might just make this my screensaver. Drink whole milk. I love you. I love your swimming abilities, Riley. I love your style. I love your drinking whole milk stuff. It's really cool. I love that Americans have to pay for you because you finished joint fifth in a swim meet and you made whining about it your entire personality. You are, the amount of girl bosses in America right now is amazing. Has Bari Weiss in the media? Riley Gaines drinking whole milk? Wow. It just doesn't get much better than this. Yeah, you're probably right. Trump smells like sour milk, so he just wants milk to be more prevalent, so people will notice it. And yeah, you're right. It's not actually a great desktop picture. This is a much better picture for the old screen phone saver, screensaver, phone screensaver. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm really toughed out and confused. But we move. Jesus Christ. What do they got against semi-skim milk? I don't know. I've always drunk semi-skim milk. Milk is not very nice. Sorry, I didn't used to like milk when I was younger, but I like milk kind of now. Okay, right. We're going to get into... We're going to get into my favourite thing, which is Trump and Greenland. Might not have time for Syria again today, which is annoying.
President Trump not backing down from his push to take over Greenland, citing security concerns and criticizing Denmark's inability to protect the Arctic territory. The president posting on Truth Social last night, NATO has been telling Denmark for 20 years that you have to get the Russian threat away from Greenland. Unfortunately, Denmark has been unable to do anything about it. Now it is time, and it will be done. Joining me now is former NSC Chief of Staff under President Trump, Alex Gray. Alex, good morning. Great to see you. So the president is, of course, dead set on acquiring Greenland and even announcing tariffs on European countries. And those.
By the way, this is genuinely insane. Have any of you seen the Trump's tariffs on Europe? They are like unbelievable. So there's a wait. So they have proposed a 10% levy on imports into the US on 1st of February, rising to 25% from the summer if no deal is done. It is unclear whether these tariffs would be added to existing levies. Mental. He'll back down from this probably as well, though, by the way, because there's some argument being made that apparently places are drawing away from him. I mean, Carney just cut a deal with China to expand trade from there. They're trying to move away from that. However, you also have Europe making a trade deal which has been in the works for 25 years with Latin America. So it really does remain to be seen.
European countries are dead set against this, and they're going to be holding this emergency summit today over what the heck to do. So what happens next?
Well, thanks for having me, Carly. I think our European friends really need to step back from this performative domestic politics that they're engaged in and realize that this is about a core interest of the United States. Greenland's a part of the Western Hemisphere. It's been under threat by Chinese and Russian aggressive activity over the last, as the president said, several decades. Our friends in Denmark haven't done anything about it. And the president was actually on the path last...
By the way, it's actually the US that's been drawing down from Greenland. I'm sure all of you know this stuff if you've kept up with it. But the US has been reducing its presence in Greenland. Its bases have been going away. It has not had this major interest in Greenland that it is claiming. It could also... Denmark has been one of the, its allies in Europe that is like, yeah, we're more than happy to put more money into NATO and all of this stuff. Trump could just say, hey, we want more American soldiers on Greenland. We want to build bigger bases. And Europe would just jump and go, oh my god, yeah. His decision to take it seems very real. It does not seem like... Well, I mean, in part, of course, everything he does is a distraction from the Epstein files. The technocracy movement. I mean, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Hold on. Oh, wait, no, I haven't seen this. This actually looks interesting. But I'd have to read about it, so I can't really talk about it straight away.
Week with this meeting that Vice President Vance chaired to have a really successful path forward where we were talking directly to our Greenlandic friends and our Danish allies.
Greenlandic friends. Ooh, don't like that.
About a path forward for the United States to have more ultimate control over Greenland. And then the Europeans decided to showboat, send in this absurd contingent of troops to act like they were going to stop some sort of crazy American invasion. As you know, Carly, we have unlimited access militarily to Greenland as it is. There's nothing to invade. The question here is, how do we protect the future of Greenland from a Chinese or Russian long-term, some sort of long-term Chinese or Russian...
It's mostly to do, seemingly, in part... So there are a few explanations of this. And some of you have kind of brought this up already, and I'm going to read it out because it is genuinely insane. So this is what the letter to Jonas Gahr Støre. I don't know how you say that, but anyway, that's the name of the Denmark's oh god, what's his Støre, the Prime Minister? He's the Statsminister og leder of Prime Minister and leader of the... Yeah, he is the Prime Minister, sorry. Dear Ambassador, President Trump has asked that the following message be shared with Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre. Be forwarded to your named head of state/government. Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars, plus I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China. Why do they have a right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago, but we had boats landing there also. Sorry, excuse me. Oh, sorry, Norwegian. My many apologies. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding, and now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you, President DJT. By the way, once again, undeniable proof that Trump is genuinely motivated by bizarre things. That, like, some of his actions, whilst it seems ridiculous to reduce US imperialism to a crying baby who's unrestrained and is upset over not getting the Nobel Peace Prize because Obama did, it's kind of like this thing of just, oh, you know, he might have done this in part because of the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, sorry, this Zin is not hitting, which is annoying. So, all of this stuff, put frankly, is just insane, and he seemingly is throwing a tantrum. I mean, he tariffed India as a result of them not bigging him up for the Nobel Peace Prize, and has drawn closer to Pakistan on the basis of them doing exactly that. So it's kind of like insane to read this, and the thing about 8 wars being stopped, I mean, he's totally failed in the vast majority of them. He's not actually done very well. He's not actually done like a... Sorry, he didn't actually stop the Gaza genocide all that well. He just slowed it a bit. But basically, this is just... I mean, we're going to talk about something else. There's a brilliant article, by the way, in Jacobin magazine about what this actually might be about. And it's called The Tech Billionaires Behind the Greenland Push. So it talks about a multitude of different things, but Trump's ambassador to Denmark and Greenland visited a major rare earth mining project on the island. So rare earth mining, rare earth, sorry, one second. In 2019, okay, why is this not pulling up? Okay, here we go. Visited a major rare earth mining project on the island shortly before Trump's first calls to buy the country. Opposition to the mine ushered Liberal political party Inuit Ataqatigiit into power 2 years later, which halted the mine and all future oil development. Basically, the only other seemingly good justification that I've seen is that there are a lot of powerful people around him. Zuckerberg, Bezos, Curtis Yarvin, and many others like Peter Thiel, who view Denmark as annoying because in part they want an extraction of the rare earth minerals that are there, which I don't actually think are that rare. It's just difficult to develop them, and there is an absolutely huge amount in the country, alongside things like copper that I believe are important for data centers. And so they're considering going over there to basically do away with the laws that are preventing them, which, by the way, when everyone's like, when Bad Empanada and stuff are like, oh my god, epic, it's going to cause a war between Europe, there are a considerable number of indigenous people who live there who don't want anything to do with Denmark, who actually believe that they're Greenlanders, that they should live in their own island with their own say over what's happening. You also, apparently private property is banned there. So though the island is not for sale, the president emphasized Greenland's importance to US national security. Left unspoken, a US takeover could weaken the country's mining laws and a ban on private property, aiding Trump donors' plans to profit from the island. So there's other reasons to talk about this as well. In December, Trump announced Peter Thiel's partner, Ken Howery, as his Danish ambassador, making his intentions explicitly clear. The United States of America feels that the ownership and control of Greenland is an absolute necessity, he wrote on Truth Social, his social media platform. So, yeah, rare earth minerals are not actually rare. They're quite, common. And yeah, there's a uranium mine as well there. But once again, the uranium stuff got neutered because, Greenland basically found some, and then Denmark basically has a strict policy against extracting radioactive materials. And so people are kind of against it there. And they're kind of against that happening. And it is actually crazy. China is the only country that chose to develop rare earth minerals, and the rest of the world just didn't do it, and now they're incredibly important. But there's lithium, cobalt, all of these things there. But there's also this really interesting part of this article that kind of factors into a dual thing. Trump seemingly wants to do real resource imperialism. The people around him want to do, like, settler colonialism. And it's called Praxis Nation. So there's this thing called Cobalt, which is very interested in the resources. And then there's also ventures eyeing the Arctic nation. So Andreessen, who's like a tech billionaire, is an investor in Praxis Nation, a project aiming to use Greenland to establish a crypto state, a self-governing experimental community built around libertarian ideals and technology like cryptocurrency. The venture is also funded by Pronomos Capital, a venture capital group founded by the grandson of economist Milton Friedman and bankrolled by libertarians such as Peter Thiel, whose own family reportedly managed a uranium mine in Namibia. Pronomos aims to create private business-friendly charter cities like Praxis, often in developing countries where investors could write their own laws and regulations. So seemingly, they want to buy it to do settler colonialism in the country, to do actual resource imperialism, to take the huge amounts of gas and oil resources that are potentially there due to the melting ice caps, the melting glaciers in the country, and also to set up a libbed-out tech city. Now, a libertarian tech city. Now, there was also something that I kind of wanted to watch on this topic. There's a YouTube video by someone who's talking, who is called Epoch Philosophy, and they have like a thing called Peter Thiel and Praxis, the billionaire plan to create the Fourth Reich.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President-elect of the United States, the Honorable Donald John Trump.
On November 5th, 2024, Donald Trump shocked the nation by securing the presidency to
There he is, Baron!
become the 47th president of the United States. This was off the back of polling institutions showing Kamala Harris up across the board. The most statistically accurate pollster in U.S. history, the Des Moines Register's Ann Selzer poll, had Kamala Harris up 47 to 44% in a deeply red Iowa. Combined with the antiquated logic that Donald Trump's platform was simply too extreme and something Americans would see as flamboyant promises from a man who, according to history, has no intention to deliver. Some examples of his 2024 platform are the following: seal the American border, end inflation, and make necessities affordable. And on number 11 of his Agenda 47 push, rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. I want to focus on this in particular. This campaign promise sounds vague, but benign, favorable even. But there's something going on behind the scenes that is seldom discussed, a hidden architecture and plan that can only be visualized by murmurings of the past. In the spring of 2023, Donald Trump released a video detailing campaign plans to increase living standards in the United States.
Our objective will be a quantum leap in the American
the great quantum leap forwards.
With it, he promised baby bonuses to increase birth rates, a beautification campaign to revitalize existing cities. Yet, biggest of all was a plan for brand new cities.
contest to charter up to 10 new cities and award them to the best proposals for development.
A technological...
That is actually also, once again, like a real... Like, baby bonuses, it's kind of an important thing that Europe and Western society in general needs to consider, because people just aren't having kids. Like, they aren't, because it's too expensive and such, but... You know, even $5,000 that they may give, they won't happen. It won't happen. American supremacy is so unbearably tone-deaf and cringy. Yeah, I mean, always has been.
Utopia designed for the 21st century. Trump called them freedom cities. Fully, privately owned cities. Controlled exclusively by the ones purchasing them. Auctioned off from public lands in the American West.
Gaza is already one of these. Gaza, like, there's literally this discussion, and Gaza. You can pay $1 billion and get permanent membership on the Gaza Peace Board. It's just being given to a loads of like unelected technocrats.
Yet, this idea isn't exactly new. It's the culmination of decades-long economic policies and deregulation that elevated the rich into the most powerful aristocracy in US history, one where monetary accumulation wasn't enough. And through the decades, there is one person who has been at the forefront of this push. His name is Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is a billionaire and former CEO of PayPal, co-founder of Palantir, and original mega investor into Facebook.
Because they don't want them to inherit a burning planet. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think, though, but, like, there's always been justifications like that for not having kids, in the sense of, like, during the Cold War, you may have felt that you were giving birth to like, a really broken world at constant threat of destruction. And maybe people do factor into that, and also stuff to do with, things like, and also, as you mentioned, like, childbirth is a stressful and a difficult thing, and, you know, the more people know about it, the less people always, like, feel, oh, I have to do that, because it's very painful and difficult, you know? And in terms of economically, it's not just, it's also things like, look, Trump sealing off the borders. If he actually does that, you have to get huge amounts of more children being born, because you're cutting the workforce, basically.
Ahead of, or involved in, at least 5 venture capital firms. While far from the richest in the world, he is among the most powerful. What separates Thiel is that he is among the largest, most influential donors to the Republican Party. He was
It's also crazy that his partner is the ambassador to Denmark.
The main voice, urging Vance to run for Senate, and he broke campaign finance records for J.D. Vance's Ohio Senate campaign with a donation of $15 million during his primary. This was the largest single publicly disclosed political donation in American history. But what's most important to this story is Thiel's political views, and they are primarily informed by this guy.
Sorry, that's such a lame photo of him.
This man is named Curtis Yarvin, originally an online blogger who has now become the core brainchild of the modern American right.
I mean, I think that there are two different ideas here, right? So one is like, you know, there's this guy Curtis Yarvin who's written about some of these things.
I love how Vance is just like, there's this guy Curtis Yarvin, and it's like, bro, come on.
Yarvin believes that America should be a techno-monarchy, a system exclusively ruled by tech oligarchs, where governance would happen at the corporate executive level.
It's also kind of funny as a belief, because that's how we already live to some extent. I guess it's not entirely controlled by tech bros, but still, in many ways, we live that way.
Outside general democratic commons and representation, the center of his belief system is that democracy was a mistake. He believes slavery was preferable to civil rights and holds the racist myth that white individuals possess higher IQs than others.
That's actually fucking crazy that J.D. Vance views him as like an ideological inspiration. And by the way, once again, yet more fuel to my point of like, hey, if Democrats win and don't make material change, you are going to end up with worse and worse than Donald Trump.
Andy was present at the inaugural gala for Donald Trump. He holds praise from people like J.D. Vance and Trump's former cabinet members Steve Bannon and Michael Anton. Yarvin is an important link, as Thiel is a bit more subtle and esoteric around the intricacies of his political beliefs. But underneath the often confused sophistry, he is crystal clear on a few things. His famous quote, "I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible," along with his writing for the Cato Institute.
By the way, there is like something to be said about like the concept of democracy, and plenty of smart people make good criticism of this kind of stuff. And I do very important criticism. Slavoj Žižek is literally against the concept of democracy, and however idiotic many of his takes are. And like people like there's just such a hysterical element of it to this just kind of basic belief, in the sense that we have this basic belief that, right, like, we have choice in democracy and it just doesn't end up working. Hello, Tony Soprano lover.
1920, the vast increase in welfare beneficiaries and the extension.
The democracy is so hysterical in this. Sorry, I didn't really finish that point. Democracy is so hysterical in this sense that basically, that we believe that we have this choice, that these people are accountable to us, and yet it never works out like that.
Of the franchise to women, two constituencies that are notoriously tough for libertarians, have rendered the notion of capitalist democracy into an oxymoron. This is clear enough to inform the framework he wishes to impose, and plans are underway to turn that framework into a living, breathing system. In March of 2025, Donald Trump repeatedly headlined news cycles for his ambition to purchase or annex Greenland, with the reasoning being national security. But this couldn't be farther from the truth. The real reason starts with a quiet, relatively unknown company. Their name is Praxis, a company whose sole purpose is to create fully private cities. And warning, things are about to get really weird. Praxis was founded by two, for all intents and purposes.
It is actually genuinely insane how people can basically manipulate politics in such a way now with social media, and they always have been able to, but just this notion that the internet was going to be incredibly democratized and that all of this stuff was going to provide some kind of major fix and information would all be free and available to everyone. And it's just not, is it? It's not.
Random guys. Dryden Brown, a college dropout from a wealthy family, and Charlie Kalinin, a former Boston College wide receiver turned analyst for a hedge fund, who joined Brown after getting fired from said hedge fund. They want to create the first, quote, internet native nation. A technological, private, sovereign.
I think they should be allowed to create these things so they just fail. I think they should be allowed to just create them because they are going to fail.
Utopian society for the wealthy. According to...
It's also really funny that they don't believe that this kind of things exist.
The latest information, they have secured around $524 million from investors. And to no surprise, one of their largest investors is Peter Thiel, primarily through Pronomos Capital, Thiel's venture capitalist firm.
Is that just fucking Dubai?
That invest in private cities, such as the famous Prospera city in Honduras, and a slew of other...
Yeah, you literally said exactly the same thing, Provender. When they try and make this stuff, it will explode, it will implode. Imagine, it'll just be that guy, the Reddit mod who appeared recently.
Private city initiatives inside Africa. But most importantly, they invested heavily in Praxis, which might be one of the most important of Thiel's city investments. On the front page of Praxis's website, it reads, Reunite the West. In their About section, they state, Praxis is the world's first digital nation, a home for the brave, who strive for virtue and wisdom. Our purpose is to restore Western civilization.
It's also, the funny thing is because they are never going to be able to restore Western civilization. Because, like, Western civilization can never look at itself in the mirror and understand, like, what they actually are. Like, how awful and how wicked Western civilization really was. And they like to run away and hide from it and pretend, oh, no, where the West is declining because people are actually reckoning for the first time with what the West is. It's just all rubbish. It's all rubbish, and this is all probably just a scam in part, but it is interesting hearing about their ideology.
And pursue our ultimate destiny of a life among the stars. And this only gets progressively weirder. Praxis has a declaration of assent, where they express the desire to form a networked empire, a collection of city-states throughout Earth, an empire on vague principles of the cultivation of nobility.
But they do confront something, though, which is democracy. Like, being based on the like Greek and Roman systems. Those were not democratic, and like being like, oh, actually in many ways America, when there were, not everyone had the right to vote,
utterly ridiculous.
was closer to that kind of tradition. Hell for Michelle, thanks for the €5. Can these freaks do a teal and do seasteading and leave us normal people alone? Just go to your floating fascist societies and let us be free. No, because they'll still have Starlink to go on the internet, so they won't ever leave us alone.
Beauty and excellence in all endeavors. The establishment of governance that nourishes the human spirit in its ascent.
But I think it's not about restoring Western civilization. I think it's kind of this boredom and the failure of the American mission, the stagnation of capitalist innovation, and like kind of maybe the guess that AI is not actually going to do what they kind of thought it would, that it will be this major revolution. And so what do? They look for another kind of form of direct settler colonization where you don't even have to interact with the natives. I mean, that's happened before, but where you go and build these weird cities that are almost totally free of interaction with anyone who isn't incredibly wealthy.
And the preservation and transmission of our highest values through generations. This all sounds like a fantasy for alienated, reactionary businessmen who fail upward, financed by a power-hungry billionaire who is known for the same esotericism.
Hyperborean is like a Nazi thing, isn't it, right?
But Praxis is a very real project with powerful ties and a very real plan to create its own private nation-state. Thiel isn't the lone investor. Sam Bankman-Fried's Alameda Research, OpenAI's Sam Altman's Apollo Research, and the Winklevoss twins venture capitalist firm have all...
By the way, I don't really remember The Social Network, but are the Winklevosses kind of portrayed as like the victims of like the evil Mark Zuckerberg? Or are they kind of just victims in the film? Like, they seem awful.
All poured millions into this project, and they intend to make their money back. They are also vying for a system that would further consolidate their own power. But if Praxis is to build a city, where would it be? There's quite a few places they've suggested, but as you might have guessed, as of 2025, a leading...
Jesus Christ, it's like the Israelis. They're just picking different places. They're just going to keep on picking, bouncing around. It'll start with potentially moving to Uganda, and eventually they'll settle on Palestine.
Candidate is Greenland. Around the time J.D. Vance was visiting Greenland, Brown tweeted the following: "I went to Greenland to try to buy it," sparking immediate connections. It starts to become obvious the case for annexing Greenland has little to do with national security, but the financial and political interest of the GOP's donors, specifically Thiel and Sam Altman. What's more is after 2028, Trump's existing prior felony convictions and pending charges will be back into play, and it's almost a guarantee that if he loses power, him and many of his administration will go to prison. A private city he founded, with no ties to Western alliances, is a buffer if that was to happen. Greenland also...
Someone said they're building a pedo city. They really are.
Serves as one of the cheaper geographical locations for Praxis to build a city.
The US withdrew from an Iraqi base. I've not seen this. Hold on.
Which leads us to the question, what would a Praxis city look like? It's easy to visualize the dismal consequence from wealthy billionaires extracting value from all life on Earth. Right now, one of the quietest examples is factory farming and the subjugation of animals around the globe. But today, I hope to instill a bit of genuine hope. I'm working with a nonprofit organization.
Oh, so this is an advert, by the way, for like supporting FarmKind. So if anyone is interested, of course, please go check out the original video. This is a fantastic video, beautifully edited, and also was exactly what I wanted to talk about.
Truth is, it isn't exactly clear what a...
It cannot work without slaves. They're going to build Dubai, and the only law they're going to institute is just the fucking kafala system. And they're just going to invite loads of Indians over and South Asians and tell them that they're going to have a great time working there and exploit them and get their governments to collaborate on exploitation. I see what you mean about the withdrawal from Iraq. I thought it was pertaining to Iran, though.
Praxis City will look like. We do see the various AI-generated images on their X account and renditions of a utopian landscape on their website. Praxis relies on intentionally vague messaging and neo-fascist aesthetics. Frankly, pretty hilarious tweets about San Francisco being once a great civilization. Imagine living in a city and vibing with everyone there.
They really are building the pedo city.
I see a holy war spreading across the universe like an unquenchable fire, and rumblings about how, quote, digital nations will become the blockchain of fiat money.
Wow, digital nations will become the blockchain of fiat money. Do you think that they'll work with Eric Adams to help combat anti-Semitism? Also, by the way, I see now why Eric Adams might be getting funding to do this.
We know what a Tumblr account of a far-right rich kid would look like, but we're only left with vague glimmerings on what these digital nations would look like. Despite this, we do have a good idea how it would function. That being classic deregulatory oligarchy, one propped up by what Praxis calls acceleration zones, a new type of special economic zone that accelerates technological progress in service of national priorities by attracting technologists and developing an institutional and regulatory structure that unlocks technological development. They want to push AI, crypto, energy, and biotech through, quote,
By the way, I don't understand what crypto will do for any of these people apart from give them untraceable money to commit crimes and do financial fraud.
Increasing velocity of experiments via streamlined regulation. Certainly increasing the velocity of experiments in biotechnology with the loosening of regulation will be a good thing. No problems there. Yet, it's important to get at the ideological heart of this project. And if the symbolism...
The Bored Ape Yacht Party will be hosted in Freedom City in Greenland.
Wasn't enough.
In Peter Thiel Square. You'll all be able to show up as your NFT in Peter Thiel Square.
We have this. Mother Jones reported that employees of Praxis were subjected to welcome packets containing book recommendations from the likes of Julius Evola, founding ideologue of fascism, the racist pseudoscience book, The Bell Curve, which proposes that certain minority groups possess lower IQs.
It's also really interesting that, by the way, Jeffrey Epstein, if he was alive, would be heavily invested and involved in all of this stuff. Jeffrey Epstein seems to be of a real power broker and someone who knew exactly what was going on, because he was really interested in this race science shit alongside all of this tech investing crap.
And a more recent neo-fascist book called The Bronze Age Mindset. With this, employees have also stated many within Praxis's leadership are obsessed with Nazi occultism. Yes, you heard that right. Brown is also an ardent fan of the very same Curtis Yarvin. Matter of fact, Brown's office hosts pictures of Yarvin and himself. Yarvin has also been present at numerous events for Praxis, and even
Yarvin was on like BBC News not long ago to give his opinions about something. It seems that the BBC might like fascists and racists.
Even stayed at Brown's residence for extended periods. What's more is this very residence was the centerpiece in a court case where a New York City property management company sued Brown for refusing to pay rent for said residence. The first thought for many is Praxis is doomed to fall apart, fail by complete incompetence and stupidity. It's true, these are incredibly ignorant, arrogant business bros obsessed with new, postmodern, traditionalist trends and hyper-commodified aesthetics. That's all technically correct. Yet, we're missing the point here. This is an organization with the extreme institutional backing not only from billionaires, venture capitalist firms, but by the most powerful government on the planet, the United States of America. We should never assume competence or
that photo of Trump at the center of the Burger Reich is truly amazing.
Merit as a driver for financial success, particularly in an economy where market evaluation has zero ties to revenue, when corporations themselves can replace common people as its core consumers. The only thing here that matters is institutional power, and Praxis has more than it needs. Yet, we've left out an important element here that should be discussed. Private cities are not only being proposed, but being constructed everywhere. As stated earlier, Thiel's Promanos is funding cities all throughout Africa, South Asia, and they were a lead funder in the famous Bitcoin haven Prospera in Honduras. All of these projects serve as tangible power grabs by people who have everything. When you have billions, can live quietly, peacefully, what else is there? It's power. People like Larry Ellison, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Mark Zuckerberg.
I suppose Musk is so rich that he was able to design a whole social media platform around whatever he wanted to say. That Bürgerkrieg is German for civil war. Yeah, it would be. Bürger is citizen and Krieg is war. But yeah, Bürgerkrieg, you're right.
Want for nothing.
Bürgerkrieg?
The only thing they have left to gain is absolute, complete power. Control over you, your family, the earth itself. That is the very point of private cities, and why billionaires...
I think the only thing for me that always puts me off this kind of stuff is the belief in the notion that AI will ever be able to ascertain or create this high level of control. That artificial intelligence is really powerful enough to predict everything that human beings will ever be able to do and conceive of and all of this stuff. I think at a certain point it breaks and doesn't work as a system, but, you know, these people believe it.
Are lobbying the United States for its creation. We know corporations control every arm of the state with billions in lobbying dollars, but controlling the most powerful government in the world is not enough. Now, they want their own state. There's historical precedence for Praxis. Private cities have functionally existed all throughout history. Places like Pullman, Illinois, Lowell, Massachusetts, and Matewood, West Virginia. Entire towns owned and controlled by single companies, historically coined as company towns, usually constructed to extract a specific raw resource. Mining towns, plantation towns, lumber towns, and these places often brutally suppressed labor organization, hosted extremely harsh working conditions.
I think also, by the way, beyond power, I do feel as if there is this element of kind of just looking for something to do. Like, just something. Like, you know, having all this money, you are inordinately wealthy. You have submitted totally to capitalism's demand in the sense that you prioritize profit over everything else. That all you do revolves around getting one over on other people, making as much profit from selling as much bullshit as you possibly can. And so you kind of reach a dead end of just like, okay, I have infinite amounts of wealth. I never want for anything for the rest of my life, and yet I feel hollow. And so they have to feel that they're remaking the world in some kind of way and like moving away from the stagnation that they perceive we're facing currently. And so instead of doing something positive, they just basically go, okay, we'll just build these odd settler colonial cities in fucking Greenland.
And effectively created their own contained city-states, where its citizens and workers had little say in their day-to-day life. Their housing, the food they ate, was not a matter of their own free will. In the 21st century, it's impossible to imagine a private city that doesn't look like this, but within the veneer of an Amazon fulfillment center. And that's putting its social relations politely. The actual reality would likely be much worse, akin to outright slavery for its working population, synonymous to what we saw in places like Qatar, where some accounts predict thousands of migrant slaves perished while building a stadium for the 2022 FIFA World Cup.
It's also, by the way, once again, I think it's right to call out Qatar for this, 100%. The kafala system is barbaric and horrible wherever it may be. But it is really funny how the branding of the 2010 World Cup in South Africa is never penetrated, and people are like, it was epic for Africa, it was this really moving thing. But there are a lot of consequences for poor black people, by the way, who live in South Africa.
It's difficult to visualize the danger praxis.
Dubai is just a gigantic company town. I mean, Dubai, in a sense, is like this place that shouldn't really exist because it was entirely created by the British and like people being forced to fly flags. That came out of the Trucial States is what it was initially called.
This poses for all of humanity, like the worst parts of complete unregulated capitalism.
By the way, this guy is an excellent video maker.
It flattens democracy, strips the best, compassionate, creative parts of ourselves. Yet, the most important takeaway here should be that so long as capitalism exists.
Yeah, hopefully the FIFA Peace Prize is not affected at all by what's Qatar, South Africa, or any of these people have been getting up to.
The threat to impose a more
I would also really like to know how Peter Thiel's bizarre behaviors will fit into this, like his sort of like major drug use. How's that gonna come into this? Will drugs be free there?
barbaric system of private city-states will always be a lingering possibility, and it's up to working class people everywhere to ensure that never happens.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read through the Epstein UAE stuff, but he did have a close founder with a close relationship with a key guy in Dubai Port World. It is also, once again, very interesting how looking at Jeffrey Epstein also as a figure kind of associated with these similar-ish movements and such, of kind of pushing things, of, I don't know, him having access to everything, unlimited money. He also engaged in a lot of sexual depravity and barbarism and all of that kind of such, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And he was someone who viewed this as like the move forward, the stuff that you had to be invested in. And perhaps in part that comes from a pragmatism and early tipping off from powerful people who were like, hey, this is going to be a huge moneymaker when it comes to the 2020s and stuff. And, you know, after Epstein passed away, that there was going to be huge money to be made in all of this stuff. But like, it is interesting that a guy like that, who, you know, had all the money, who had access, who engaged in debauchery all the time, was particularly interested in these kind of people and this kind of stuff.
Thank you for watching and making it to the end. As always, I want to give a small request for everyone here. If you enjoy these videos, consider pledging just a few dollars a month on Patreon and our site.
Yeah, if anyone fancies it, they should go and support this guy because he is a brilliant creator. Truly, truly, truly a brilliant content creator. Tech billionaires want us dead, Taylor Lorenz. That's an hour long. I mean, I'd really enjoy that, but yeah, this is just really, really, really good. Just a really great video. Fair play to this person. Amazing. But yeah, certainly just bored people looking for heinous things to undertake and do. A libertarian walks into a bear. Yeah, I've heard that story. I've heard that. I've heard about that book. I would like to read it. Isn't it basically that they had this town without laws and then there's a problem to do with bears and trash that basically come out of all of it? Do I even really want to do the Starmer stuff, or do I want to kind of just call it there? You know what? No, I will do the Starmer stuff because then I've missed too much of the title otherwise. Okay, so obviously, back to this Greenland topic. The UK has been doing brilliant stuff vis-a-vis Greenland, like what it's getting up to. These billionaires straight up want to be Mr. House. Yeah, I mean, also the obsession with the Legion. Perhaps these people have been playing too much Fallout New Vegas. But I want to do the Starmer stuff. So Keir Starmer delivered a rousing speech, as always.
The world has become markedly more turbulent in recent weeks. Events are moving fast. And in moments like this, what matters most is being clear about the values and the interests that guide us, even as circumstances change.
I love this sort of... But also, by the way, realise the appeal of this kind of crap to the previous stuff we're talking about these fucking freedom cities, when there's such a repugnancy in this of like, oh, there's X, Y, Z different value that guides us, but no actual explanation of what any of them are.
The United Kingdom has a long history.
The United Kingdom has a long history.
Values were not improvised. They were built patiently over time. And while we are pragmatic in how we pursue our interests, we are resolute in defending those values when it matters. So let me begin with the United States. The UK and the US are close allies and close partners. That relationship matters profoundly, not just to our security, but to the prosperity.
Just diversify, man. Become closer with China. Just become closer with China. If you're crying about Chinese authoritarianism, this shit is... America is getting up to just as bad shit.
And the stability that people here depend upon. Under President Trump, as under previous presidents, we're determined to keep that relationship strong, constructive, and focused on results. And that approach is...
He just says words, totally meaningless and empty words.
Delivering. Through sustained engagement, we've seen significant US investment into the UK economy, running into hundreds of billions.
Like, they should just straight up cancel the Palantir contract with the NHS. Want to do something to target them? Do that. You should also, our defence deals with Palantir. Stop doing that stuff with them. We don't need that shit.
Of pounds, supporting growth, skills and jobs right across the country.
Yeah, the UK's doing really well in terms of growth and all of this stuff. All of this foreign money in our country is really invigorating things and making them so good.
Cooperation on defence, nuclear capability and intelligence remains as close and effective as anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's HR speak and he's saying nothing. He's saying nothing at all.
Keeping Britain safe in an increasingly dangerous environment. We've secured good trading terms in key sectors, including cars, steel, aerospace and life sciences, protecting British jobs and manufacturers. That is why we take the approach that we do, because it delivers concrete outcomes in the national interest.
It's really hard to know where these like positive outcomes are really coming from, because I'm not really seeing them. I look at England and it doesn't look like there's any positive outcomes. It looks like you're portrayed as an evil leftist maniac.
I talk regularly to President
whilst achieving absolutely nothing.
Trump, and my team is in daily contact with all the key figures in his administration. These relationships matter. They deliver concrete outcomes in the national interest. Mature alliances are not about pretending differences don't exist. They are about addressing them directly, respectfully, and with a focus on results.
You do realise drawing close to America isn't even something that everyone's doing. Carney and Canada are kind of just like, hey, I'm not so sure we should just draw ourselves incredibly close to the US, and that, you know, so much of our trade has previously flown between the two countries. But maybe we should actually look at doing something slightly different and diversify slightly. Maybe not instantaneously, and Carney's obviously not perfect and in many ways is a similar guy to Starmer. But, like, you know, they're at least opening new trade deals with China. And maybe you should start looking at that kind of stuff. But it's also funny because we left the EU to gain some kind of like independence for ourselves, right? To become people who had this power to stand on our own, to get better deals, to speak our minds. And right now, we look even more pathetic than the rest of Europe. Like, the EU looks pathetic in the face of Trump and his threats because we won't draw ourselves closer to China. And as a whole, as Europe, I mean, we're not in the EU anymore, which has been brilliant for us. But, like, simultaneously, none of them can do anything because we're entirely reliant on America and that post-war or the post-First World War order that, you know, was shaken in the Second World War, but was really cemented then of us being benevolent to Germany benevolent to America is really something that we've never wanted to shake because it's comfortable and easy. And now we have this guy and now we have Trump in office, and it's kind of like, hey, maybe that wasn't such a great idea that, you know, you could have realized and thought about because it was quite likely that he'd win again, and it didn't take a genius analyst to realize that.
In Greenland, the right way to approach an issue of this seriousness is through calm discussion between allies.
I will say, Starmer is a consistent man. He's consistently pathetic about every single thing. Radical Caffeine, thanks for being here, man. Nice to see you. But yeah, he's consistently pathetic about everything. So you do have to say that, you know, his pathetic nature on Palestine is cemented by this as well. Just totally pathetic.
And let's be clear, the security of Greenland matters. And it will matter more as climate change reshapes the Arctic, as sea routes open and strategic competition intensifies.
Why are you even talking about climate change, man? Donald Trump doesn't believe in that. Your biggest trade partner is someone who doesn't believe in climate change.
North will require greater attention, greater investment, and stronger collective defence. The United States will be central to that effort, and the UK stands ready to contribute fully alongside our allies through NATO.
By the way, also, once again, why not just talk a big game? Because already he's going to tariff you. What's he going to do? Tariff you more? You want to be his best friend? You want to be his lackey? You want to pick up his papers more, Mr. Starmer? Because, like, ultimately, talk a big game like Carney does. Get yourself a boost. People aren't a fan of this stuff around Greenland. They're like, everyone's talking about it, like, oh my God, they're shaking NATO. They're doing all of these horrible things, and so we've got to stand and be big strong NATO, big strong Europe united against this evil American threat. That's popular, bro. Just do it. Just talk a big game. It is so pathetic. It is so pathetic. It's like Palestine. There's no point to odiously cling to Israel. They're going to demonize you, whatever meaningless step you take. So do something serious, man.
But there is a principle here that cannot be set aside because it goes to the heart of how stable and trusted international cooperation works. And so any decision about the future status of Greenland belongs to the people of Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark alone. That right is fundamental, and we support it. Denmark is a close ally of the United Kingdom and of the United States, a proud NATO member that has stood shoulder to shoulder with us, including at real human cost in recent decades.
Do you know once Europe, there were actually wars between NATO powers called the Cod Wars, which were over fishing rights.
Alliances endure because they're built on respect and partnership, not pressure. That is why I said the use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong.
It's not nice when you do tariffs against us, but it's still very important that we're friends.
It is not the right way to resolve
I think he is the most pathetic politician to walk the earth, really. I mean, actually, maybe Corina Machado might take that off him, but I don't know. He's up there.
Differences within...
Yeah, England and Iceland, we had Cod Wars. There was no one killed, but... Oh, fuck's sake. Here you go. Look, there was 17 destroyers oh, no, wait, no. Casualties and losses, none. Sorry, I thought we lost some of these. But yeah, there was, like, shooting at each other and such. So that was exciting. I wonder if Starmer during that would just be like, we should allow them to shoot at us.
An alliance. Nor is it helpful to frame efforts to strengthen Greenland's security as a justification for economic pressure. Such measures hurt British workers, British businesses, and the British economy. And that is why I've been so clear on this issue. A trade war is in no one's interest. And my job is always to act in the UK's national interest.
So do something then. Our national interest is not having an unlimited alliance with Israel where we let them do whatever we want. It's not cozying up to dictators all over the world whilst they perpetrate genocide and then pretending and moralizing that we care about the behavior of some. He hasn't said anything.
That is why yesterday I spoke to President Trump, to European leaders, and to the Secretary General of NATO to find a solution rooted in partnership, facts, and mutual respect. Because that is how strong alliances protect shared interests. The same is true on other issues. In the Middle East, we welcome President Trump's focus on sustaining the ceasefire in Gaza.
There is no ceasefire in Gaza. It's just insane.
And moving on to phase 2.
Lad's pathetic. My granny put up more of a fight when we took her keys off her after her 4th accident. The elephant fish, Jesus Christ.
It is utterly ridiculous.
What an incredibly kind gift. Wow. You've just pushed us over the goal. Oh my goodness. What an elephant fish. I've never seen you before, but thank you so much. Jesus. Wow. That is an incredibly kind gift. Pity Elab's not here to get this. Mutual respect, bro. The US would and will fuck you over. Oh, 100% it will. Shout out to the 20 new members and smashing the membership goal. Elephant Fish, again, thank you for that incredibly kind donation.
We are open to participate.
You aren't even a member yourself, Elephant Fish. I wish I could gift you your own membership.
Constructively.
Oh, Elab is here. Just Elab's dream of a membership is not happening. That is an incredibly kind donation.
In such efforts.
But you know what? The only thing I will say is it comes at a time where I am here. This is so incredibly boring and pathetic. Like, how did this guy clear Jeremy Corbyn? Like, hearing Jeremy Corbyn talk about Venezuela, it is so evident that Jeremy Corbyn is the way more competent speaker, that he is the guy that listening to is like, okay, yeah, like he has standard consistency and principles around certain things, but this guy, no principles, not an interesting voice, no aura, no nothing. How was this guy put into power?
On Ukraine, I can be brief. We strongly support efforts to bring the killing to an end and secure a ceasefire as soon as possible. We recognise President Trump's role in pushing that process forward. And we will work closely with the United States, Ukraine, and our other allies to apply pressure where it belongs on Putin.
Also, once again, this person coming up and saying, oh, we need to apply pressure on Putin. It's fucking crazy because, like, you're talking about Donald Trump, man. Donald Trump is like, you're talking about this with Donald Trump, right? Like, as the person you're talking to. Donald Trump is literally someone who is like pro-Putin. Like, however you feel about Ukraine, he is someone who regularly has like pally meetings with fucking Putin. So come on, bro. It's just such a lack of consistency and no morals. And Twitch lets you gift to specific people. Yeah, maybe one day. But I am actually building like quite a decently large audience on here, and it is actually growing, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And also making this possible is something to do. Like, I love The boiler's going crazy. I love doing this. It's so great. And honestly, I'm eternally grateful for making this possible.
Finally, let me say why all this matters so directly to people here at home.
And yeah. Does someone have a newly painted wall for me to watch? This is such nothing. Said nothing interesting in 6 minutes. 6 minutes. I said 6 minutes. That's how bored I am.
In today's world, geopolitics is not something that happens somewhere else. It shapes the cost of energy, the price of food.
It's also really funny because like his monotone delivery is so fake and just like pathetic because it's so fake and pathetic because he delivers he delivers everything with the exact same tone.
Food.
And sorry, someone said someone asked what my tattoos are. They are just like random. This is a bird and a bird cage, and this one is one that says "Ruin of Man" with things that may ruin you as a man if you abuse them.
The security of jobs and the stability.
Maybe Keir Starmer should just play. Keir Starmer should just play Subway Surfers. Lonerbox is stream sniping you right now. What do you mean?
That families rely
As in, are you saying Keir Starmer is a Lonerbox or what?
on to plan their lives. When war drives up fuel prices,
Oh, he's talking about my coverage of Iran.
it's households who feel it first. When supply chains fracture,
Is he incensed by my coverage of Iran?
it's small businesses and working people who absorb the shock. And when instability grows, it's rarely those with the most power who pay the price. That is why this government's approach is rooted in a simple belief that we must use every tool of government, domestic and international, to fight for the interests of ordinary people. At home, that means active government. It means taking responsibility for economic stability so that inflation is controlled, interest rates come down, and family budgets are protected. It means stepping in where markets fail, strengthening resilience, and ensuring that global shocks do not always land on the same people in the same places, the people least able to withstand them. That's why we've taken action to reduce energy bills, to freeze rail fares and prescription charges. But tackling the cost of living today also means engagement beyond our borders.
I've had enough of this. I am not listening to any more Keir Starmer. Sorry, I'm now distracted by whatever Lonerbox is saying, but to be honest, I'm not going to watch that. Okay, right. What's
Chris Mason, BBC News. This is clearly incredibly difficult. What more in specific terms can you tell us about what you plan to do now? It appears that you're ruling out retaliatory tariffs from the UK. Can you confirm that? And would you consider going to see President Trump face to face this week? Thank you.
Well, what I'm going to do now is to focus on our national interest and be absolutely clear that that requires us to be clear about the principles that we apply to a situation like this. In particular, that the future of Greenland is for Greenland and the Denmark Kingdom, and that tariffs should not be used against allies.
It's also funny when he doesn't have a pre-prepared speech. He's even worse. Well, even
In
worse.
this way, in relation.
He's painting you as pro-regime or whatever. I mean, I've criticised them a multitude of different times, so whatever. I don't care.
In relation to the escalation, look, a tariff war is in nobody's interests. And we have not got to that stage, and my focus, therefore, is making sure we don't get to that stage, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. Thank you, Chris.
Prime Minister Chris.
Amazing, but yeah, let's finish the stream up here. I'm getting tired. I'll see what he said. Hold on. Hold on. Why can't I put it?
It is a.
He has a horrible freeze frame of me currently. Wait, I want to just show you the freeze frame. Okay, right, enough of that. I'm not reacting to that. Okay, right, I'm going to call the stream there. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. I'll see you all later. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Have a lovely rest of the day. Oh, actually, wait, before I finish, if you want to donate, there's a link in the top, and you can see it. There's a link to Project Sarsour, and if anyone wants to donate, you can go and do that, so feel free. Speak to you guys soon.